keeping this city safe.
We can't be shy about speaking on things such as faith and politics. We have to remember, in a free society, the public square belongs to all of us.
I'm not interested in North Florida looking like Orlando or Miami. I love where we live, but I think that good jobs means that people that live in this district can stay in this district.
Fishing and hunting is funding a large part of your conservation projects in Florida, and we want to make sure that those are forever preserved.
And the problem with this industry at this point is that they actually target our youth. You can see it in their marketing strategies, where it's bright colors, fun names.
And that's going to be endlessly litigated.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
What does life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. Fighting for all veterans. Making sure they get the benefits and care they've earned. Rebuilding communities after disaster strikes. And adapting to support today's veterans. Meeting them where they are. The VFW. Still leading. Still advancing. Still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
I can trace family members who served from World War I to today, each one helping shape who I am. My family chose to share their stories with the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. Voices, letters, and memories that bring their service to life. Searching for their stories was easy. You can discover powerful stories too, told through the voices of America's veterans. Explore, remember, and share at loc.gov/vets.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Hey, it's Drew Steele, and I have to tell you, when my wife and I talked about getting new kitchen countertops for our house, we know who to call. Rock Solid Countertops and More, 2240 J&C Boulevard in Naples. And they have been absolutely amazing. Hugo and the team are the best. The workmanship has been absolutely incredible. The install was so easy. The process was perfect. Taking everything out, bringing the new stuff in. The quartz countertop is unbelievably beautiful, and my wife is super happy, I'll tell you. You know they have the best quality and selection of marble, quartz, granite, and a one-stop shop for all of your kitchen, outdoor, and bathroom needs. I've known it for years. I've lived in Southwest Florida 40 years. There was really only one place I was going to go. It's Rock Solid Countertops and More. I would suggest you give them a call, 596-7676. They're at 2240 J&C Boulevard in Naples. Find out what they can do for you. Countertops, cabinets, plantation shutters, they do it all. Rock Solid Countertops and More.
The other day, a man called saying my electric was way past due. He threatened to turn off my power if I didn't buy a gift card to pay the bill. I said, look, fella, I wasn't born yesterday. Gift cards are for gifts, not for paying bills, and I'm sure as heck not buying you a gift. So I hung up on the crook, and my lights never went out. Know the signs of scams and leave scammers in the dust. If someone asks for a gift card as payment, it's likely a scam. A public service message from the Better Business Bureau.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with Medishare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for Medishare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because Medishare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us the voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic.
I want to thank you for
your support for veterans in the military.
Educating us.
Standing up for conservatism.
Giving us the truth.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
It's nice to be home. Here we are, back in the studio. Hey, it's Drew Steele. Big D over there is right there on the other side of the glass with the newsroom, and Nina's in the breaking news room over there, and it's good to see everybody here. Well, I mean, everybody's been here. I'm the only one that hasn't been here, getting back from D.C. Today, this morning, and happy to be back once again in the studio. Thanks so much again to the Republican Study Committee. RSC is fantastic. Chairman Pfluger is amazing, and all that we had the opportunity to talk about for the past couple of days in D.C., getting to work, getting things done. So was really, really happy to be there. Happy to be back with you guys. D, you're looking good. You look
welcome home. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, you look like tan. Yeah, you got a little tan. Is that right? You getting out?
It must be the lighting in here.
That's what it is. It's the lighting. You could say thank you. I mean, if it's that's
thank you. It's the lighting.
I got to work on that. That's one of those things. When somebody gives, I don't know if that was really, I mean, it's a compliment to say that you look tan and rested and ready. And sometimes people give me a compliment, and you just learn to say thank you. That's all. Just say thank you, and we move on. Thank you, and we move on. All right, coming up, there are states in this country that insist, well, let's not say the states, but there are leftists that exist in the states. Where they think like they could get away with not having to worry about people pushing back against the right to hunt and fish. Like, we don't want to do it. We want to stop it from happening. And there are some states that are trying to move, like we did here, amendments, constitutional amendments, to try to get the right to hunt and fish in certain states available there, so that, and by the way, it's not even, how do I put this the right way? It's just some leftists, because there are even Democrats and Republicans that are together on this issue. Like the right to hunt and fish, fundamental. You shouldn't be able to take it away. But there are some environmentalist, crazy, wacky leftists that are out there that want to do such a thing. And the latest state is in Colorado. So how are we fighting back? We're going to talk about that coming up in just a bit. But first, why don't we talk about this? If you're wondering, what does a constitutional amendment look like where you can tell once and for all, clearly and succinctly, without any doubt, that it is left-leaning, it has an agenda, and you can tell what they're trying to do just by reading the language? Here's one right now. Proposed constitutional amendment in Virginia. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? That is the language that was put out there in Virginia. And now how that gerrymandered Democrat map that went from 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans to 10-1 Democrat passed yesterday. Now, there are people who will look at this and say, well, there are probably a whole lot of people that were voting that were duped by the language that you're watching at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble X, Facebook, and Instagram. There it is. Because it says restore fairness. And who doesn't want to restore fairness? Right? Yeah. So about that, that's probably part of the issue here that we have. And so, yes, it did pass. And yes, people are upset. And yes, there are people that are like, what are we going to do here in the state of Florida? Because if we don't do something, then this is going to be trouble for the 26th election and beyond. Well, we'll get to that in just a second. So, yes, it did pass yesterday. I think a lot of people thought that that was going to be the case because, Democrats cheat. Did I say that out loud? I did, right, Nancy? Yeah, even Nancy laughs because they do it and then they get away with it and then they blame everybody else if you're going to try to blame them for something that they did to make it look like you did it. But anyway, so the moderate Democrat governor of the state of Virginia is Abigail. I can't even say it with a straight face. The leftist who tried to make you believe she was the moderate, Abigail Spanberger, was talking about this. Look, this is a big deal because if you look at it from a 30,000, yes, I'm using the 30,000 foot language. If you look at it from a 30,000 foot view, this is something that's going to be talked about now across the country. This is what happens when New York, not Texas, but New York started the process. I'll get to that coming up in just a second. What did Abigail Spanberger have to say about it this morning? Well, she was being asked about the new map and being really excited about it and, the money that was spent and the time that was spent. And what about some of the trickery, chicanery? Did I say that out loud? I'm just saying that. She didn't say that. But let's see what they talked about as they approved the redistricting overhaul that shouldn't have been approved.
We are very different from what they did in Texas, where it was kind of just a partisan effort.
Oh, okay. So we're just supposed to believe that in Texas, it was a partisan effort, but in Virginia, no, it was straightforward, honest. When before it was almost 50-50, and now you're making it 10-1. Yeah, no partisanship here.
Political effort within their legislature. Here, the legislature teed it up, and then we said to the people of Virginia, now it's up to you. Certainly we were out and about encouraging people to vote yes.
Yeah, you were around and about and tricking people, and I'm going to use the word tricking, encouraging people to vote yes. But also saying you want to restore fairness, right? Don't you want to restore? Really? It's not fair? No, it's not. I didn't know that. Well, then what do? You have to vote yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, that were people that were duped that way.
But the no campaign was strong. It was ample. It featured millions of dollars worth of television ads.
And I think the spending on this for Democrats was like 2-1. 2-1 Democrat to Republican, the kind of spending that they did on this approval of the redistricting overhaul as they discussed. And one other thing before we move on that I just want to play from Abigail Spanberger as she was on MS, whatever they call themselves these days. I watched so you don't have to. Here is the question that was being asked by, I don't know, what's his... do we know this guy's name? Is it Woody Harrelson? What's his name? The guy on MSNBC, whatever they call themselves? I don't know his name.
I don't watch that.
I don't know either. What's to call him Woody Harrelson? I like the name Woody Harrelson. I don't know. It sounds like an actor's name. I know. What does he say?
Do you worry that states, districts all over the country now will just go tit for tat trying to do this?
Yeah, how dare they think that way? Because, sometimes there are states that are looking and going, hold on a second. We want to do it for good, honest, and wholesome reasons. The census. People being shipped to different states to try to change the demographic and the layout of certain states. I'm not saying that happened in Minnesota. Yes, it did. But now you're going to have people that are going to want to push back against this. You're worried about that? Like, everybody else is wrong. You're right is the way they're positioning this.
Not every 10 years, but whenever they feel the need.
Yeah, whenever they feel the need. Like, I feel the need as like right now because of what you've done.
I certainly think that is a fair concern, which is why absolutely when Democrats take a majority in the House of Representatives, my hope and expectation will be that there will be serious conversations about redistricting reforms and the process by which all 50 states will take on redistricting efforts.
There it is. There it is. All 50 states are going to take on redistricting efforts. She wants it to happen all over the place, everybody. So that's the moderate Abigail Spanberger from Virginia. Which, by the way, do you all like to be duped in Virginia? Is it like I know people that live in Virginia, very wise people, very smart people, very handsome and beautiful people. They're wonderful people. They're not walking into walls all the time, but it feels that way. Like it's a state of people just walking into walls. Like, how do you get duped like this? You got duped by Abigail Spanberger, who made you believe that she was a moderate when she's not. And then the language, literally on the thing, on the constitutional amendment, the thing. I was going to play a Joe Biden clip, but I'm not going to do that. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness? Like, how do you put that language in there? Like, somebody has to sue. Like, this has to go to the Supreme Court in Virginia for that language, because you can't use that language, can you? We're about to find out. I think there's talk about doing that. And listen, if you got to take it all the way up to the Supreme Court, you should, because that's not right. Now, I might say, personally, Drew Steele speaking, hi, how are you? That Democrats do this usually, typically, like do things that they're like, hey, I'm going to put this language in the amendment. Come get me. What you going to do about it? Exactly. What are you going to do about it? And I'll just say this before we go. Something has to happen. There has to be pushback against this. We can't just have every state. Now, look, there's going to be things that are going to happen here in the state of Florida, and we need to have it happen. But sometimes be careful what you wish for. I'll explain that in just a minute. But there has to be consequences to these actions. Somehow, some way, somebody's got to be held accountable for a lot of the things that the left is doing in this country, where it's either Republicans sitting around going, or you've got radical rogue judges, or I don't know what the deal is. But sorry with the, but just want to make sure there's no doing happening. All right, let's move on now. I know, what a weird way to segue to our next guest, who I wanted to talk about what's going on there in Colorado. Dustin Svanik is joining us right now here on Florida's Voice, principal at 76 Group. And we've got to make sure that when it comes to, constitutional amendments, maybe initiatives, that we're doing the right thing with regard to something that we did here in the state of Florida. And now they're working hard there in Colorado. First, hey, listen, it's great to see you. How's everything going?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me on. I was intrigued listening to your previous segment there about Virginia, because in addition to the constitutional right to hunt and fish here in Colorado, there is going to be an effort, same as Virginia, to restore fairness. Our maps in Colorado are 50-50. We have 8 members. It's 4-4. And they're proposing a 7-1 map that is likely to move forward and be on this fall's ballot.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk about that later, but now that you brought it up, we can talk about for a second here, and then we can move on to what we really want to talk about. All of this is important, but, sometimes there are people that say, look, even though you are going to gerrymander districts and move things around and try to make it so that you go from a 50-50 state, let's just say close to it, to a 10-1, you still have the other 50 that live in the districts. And in other words, if you come out in force, you think you're going to get, let's say 10-1 in Virginia, but you may only get 7. You may only get 6. You may not get as many as you think, because you still have the population that's there, even as much as you've gerrymandered the district. And I've heard that from a few different people. I don't see how that meshes. Has anybody ever said anything to you like that?
No.
Okay,
I don't know how that meshes.
Okay, good.
I don't know how that meshes.
Yeah, and because a couple of people said that to me over the weekend in regards to this, knowing that this was probably going to be the outcome, and they're like, I don't know if it's. It's like, yeah, I don't think you're right about that. I think this is bad, and I think we have to do something about this. But we also have to do something about the right to hunt and fish. Tell everybody what's going on in Colorado right now.
Yeah, so just as we're having this conversation about redistricting, I think what you see is that there are these national trends where, states like Florida had put forward an initiative to constitutionally protect the right to hunt and fish, and in Colorado, we're looking at replicating that same effort, in part because we're seeing it in our state efforts, and we've continued to see efforts in our state by anti-hunting activists to try to restrict hunting. And one of the things that got this really kicked off in Colorado was an initiative that's going to be on the ballot this fall, or likely to be on the ballot this fall in Oregon. They would ban hunting and fishing. And again, just knowing that states are watching, across the borders from each other to get ideas, good and bad, we decided to take a good idea from the state of Florida and put it on to attempt to put it on the ballot here in Colorado, in hopes that we can get ahead of a potential bad idea being exported from Oregon to Colorado in future cycles. Just given the trajectory of our state, that seems like, we could easily be walking down the path of Oregon, and we'd prefer that not be the case.
Right. Dustin, there's so many parts to this that I think people need to realize because, number one, you always want to be proactive as opposed to reactive. You never want to react to something that happens in the moment. You want to get ahead of it. That's something that we do really well here in the state of Florida. And I think that's part of what we're trying to do here in Colorado. The second thing, and I might mention this too, is that when it comes to this issue and the right to hunt and fish, it's easy for me to say, it's Democrat versus Republican. It's really not. This is bipartisan. Like, you can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican, you can reinstitute the Whig Party. I don't know what you want to do, but the point is that people agree across the board that we have to protect this right. That's why it's so important, and that's why I think it will resonate in the state. I think you would agree with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Colorado is the opposite of Florida in the sense that it's a center-left state. I mean, right? We're completely controlled. We're a one-party state, and the party that controls every lever of government in Colorado are Democrats. But we've seen with this concept on when we polled it's in the mid to high 60s every time. And another encouraging, measure from just a couple of years ago, there was an attempt to ban commercially sold fur in the city of Denver, right? I mean, just the mecca of progressivism in the state of Colorado. And it was defeated with nearly 60%. The interesting thing was that, and I'm going to get this wrong because it was a couple of years ago, but one of the proponents of that initiative made a comment about how one of the underlying purposes of the fur ban was to get humans to not see animals as objects. And that part, you hear that a lot from those types of activists. But the thing that he said next that was just jarring was that he said, and for the ranchers and farmers who see this as a way of undermining their way of life, they should, because it is. I mean, it was brazen. And so Denver voters reject it by nearly 60%. And then it was just a few months later that the Division of Parks and Wildlife passed a petition to try to do this statewide. So the activists moved their attempts from the ballot box where they had been defeated to the regulatory agencies. And that's exactly why we need a constitutional right to hunt fish, because the activists aren't going to continue. If the voters are going to reject them, they're going to find other ways, whether it's through the legislature or through the regulatory process.
I don't want people to miss that, because that is so important. That's one of the things we were worried about here in the state of Florida. We talked about it many times. The activists don't give up. They don't take their ball and go home if they lose. They play the long game. They'll just figure out the next way to get this through. And sometimes the way to get it through on the other side is even harder to fight against than where they came to originally. And that's why you've got to be proactive as opposed to reactive with these issues, because they'll find a way. And by the way, it's Initiative 302. Is that right? Can you explain the process? Like, how does it work there in Colorado?
Yeah. So in Florida, and I know you're familiar with this, it went through the legislature, referred to the ballot. In Colorado, our General Assembly can do the same thing, or our legislature, they wouldn't, not for this issue.
Right.
So the direct democracy access that we have in Colorado is you can take any initiative, any citizen can bring an initiative to our title setting board and propose an initiative, and that's where it starts. You have to get a language approved by the title board, which was approved. So we had Initiative 302 approved by our title board a week ago today. We'll find out by 5 p.m. tonight if that language is challenged or not. It doesn't appear as though it was passed unanimously, so that's a good indication that it'll move forward. The next step in the process is between now and August 4th. We have to go out and get the signatures that are necessary to gain ballot access. And that number is 125,000 valid, and there's a percentage from each of our 35 state Senate districts. It's a big undertaking. It's been done. We've done it a number of times. There's a lot of other initiatives that are going to be on the ballot this year. We have a multi-page ballot because people do use the citizen initiative process frequently to bypass the legislature. So that's the process that we're going to go through, where we are in the process of raising money, building campaign, raising awareness, and we'll get the signatures over the next 3 months to qualify it for this November's ballot.
And I think this is one of those issues before we go, and it bears repeating, Dustin, I think, is that this is across the board. This isn't a Republican or Democrat. I think people will look at this. I think because it's being presented, they'll they'll realize something that they never thought would happen, I believe. To take that right away, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, this is something that could possibly happen. Yes, it can possibly happen. And so that's going to bring a lot of people. I mean, Colorado, you don't have a whole lot of hunting and fishing going on in Colorado, do you? I never hear about that, Dustin. Like it doesn't happen. Like it's one of those states where it's
not here. No, not in the Rocky Mountains. No,
Yeah,
nope.
Not at all. You never see anything like that. Yeah, unbelievable. Is there a place where people can get more information about this? Like maybe if they want to help or find out more, maybe they have relatives in Colorado. They just want to reach out to let them know.
Yeah, there will be a broad coalition of organizations that are going to be supporting this, but at the tip of the spear is going to be the same group that was there in Florida, the International Order of T. Roosevelt Action. Great organization.
Yeah.
They're fighting to get fight across the country. They're going to be at the tip of the spear here, and again, lots of other coalition partners. But if you want to get involved, that's the place to do it. They know what they're doing.
Great, yeah. Luke Hilgeman is the best. I mean, if you wanted somebody at the tip of the spear, that's who you want when it comes to this very issue. So that's fantastic. All right, Dustin, listen, I appreciate a few minutes of your time. Look forward to the next time we can speak about this, and please stay in touch so we can make sure we keep an eye on this story. Okay.
Yeah, happy to. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, appreciate it. All right, that is Dustin Zvonek joining us here on Florida's Voice, principal at 76 Group, where they are fighting in Colorado the same way that we had to make sure that we were going to be proactive and get out there to have, in our case, a constitutional amendment for the right to hunt and fish, because, you've got these activists who want to take it away. Well, they wanted to. And in the state of Colorado, and look, there will be other states. You mentioned Oregon. There are going to be other states where they're going to try to do this. The way that states look to the state of Florida to see how we took care of this issue here is the same way that the activists on the other side of this issue are going to look to see how we were tackling it to try to get around it. That's what they're not going to be like, oh man, I don't know how we're going to beat this one. They'll figure out some way to do it. They'll try, but you've got to be in front of it. And that's why IOTR and Luke Hilgeman, the International Order of T. Roosevelt, is so important in this fight, among others. So that is good to see. All right, what else do we have going on? I know I barely have enough time to finish what I was talking about before the break, as we were talking about the maps. It's the map. It's the map. It's the map. It's the map. Anyway.
I'm the map.
Yeah. You're the... Oh, is that what it is? You're the map. Okay. I'm the map. All right. That's right. I know we've been through this before. So they've restored fairness in Virginia, making it now 6 Democrat to 5 Republican districts to 10-1. Boy, that sounds fair. I'll tell you what, if you're a Republican in the state of Virginia, you feel like you're well represented on a 10-1 basis, except you're on the wrong side. You're not. And so in just a little while, we'll talk more about this and the Florida angle, because Hakeem Jeffries is the House Minority Leader, and he's telling Florida not to mess around. He didn't use the mess around term. He used a different term, but... Excuse me? Yeah, we'll have that coming up.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
A lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
After my injury, I lost my sense of purpose.
I lost the ability to tuck my daughters into bed.
Homes for Our Troops build specially adapted homes with features that allow our veterans to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free thanks to our donors and supporters.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a home where I can be a dad.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a brighter future.
We need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Learn more at hfotusa.org.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Since the dawn of time, man and wildlife have shared a connection. And hunting traditions passed down from generation to generation have connected man to the natural world. From bow and arrow to hook and bullet, as man evolved, our link to those traditions remains. Yet today, our basic instinct to provide and as part of the hunt, to conserve and appreciate the natural world has fallen under attack for the first time in human history. Misguided politicians and radical activists pushing an agenda to end hunting as we know it are leading a war against our heritage. In their misguided policies and protests, they demonize hunters and belittle our way of life. The result? Hunters leaving the sport in droves while our wildlife and ecosystems suffer the consequences as conservation funding dries up. Named after the father of the North American model for wildlife conservation, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting in the arena to protect and expand the rights of hunters everywhere. We will fight back against these forces to make sure that every American has a right to hunt, enshrined in their state constitutions. We will educate the next generation in our traditions and seek to expand accessibility so that everyone can enjoy our pastimes. And we will continue to hold true to our namesake's efforts to protect, preserve, and ensure open access to our nation's wildlands. Teddy Roosevelt's vision for American conservation defines our modern hunting and conservation system. A system upheld by the idea that conservation efforts are crucial to our hunting way of life, and that hunters are crucial to successful conservation.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Look, are you still playing defense with your money? It's time to shift gears and seize the fresh opportunities this new pro-business environment has to offer. That's exactly what certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend and the team at Advantage Retirement Group do for high net worth investors like you, helping you go on the offense with advanced tax strategies, thoughtful risk management, and forward-thinking financial planning. Imagine enjoying the retirement lifestyle you've worked so hard to achieve, all while staying one step ahead and in a changing world. You've got to do it. Alfie and his team design personalized strategies to strengthen your financial foundation so you can focus on living life on your terms. Ready to find out more? text VISIT to 239-747-7470. Again, you can call or text 239-747-7470. Schedule your one-on-one consultation today and see how a proactive approach can help you thrive no matter what the market does next. Don't wait. Call or text VISIT to 239-747-7470 right now.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to watch NFL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Anytime you want to check out the program after hours, Florida's Voice with Drew Steele, the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get it. Evan Powers scheduled to join us coming up in a couple of more minutes. But first, let's find out what's going on in the top of the newsroom. Well, the Florida's Voice newsroom. We call it top of the news. It's a
top of the news. Florida's headlines now.
Yeah, we call it the top of the newsroom now. No, we don't. We never did. We haven't. It's the top of the news now. Okay, Anita Padilla is waiting patiently. Let's find out what's going on here in the state and around the country. What's up?
Hey, Drew, Broward schools under fire, and now the state is demanding accountability over a political flyer. And a $700,000 hurricane fraud scheme ends in handcuffs. Nope. I'll have those stories in just a moment. But first, topping the news right now, Governor Ron DeSantis firing back hard at House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. This is after Jeffries threatened to target Florida over possible congressional redistricting ahead of the 2026 midterms. And DeSantis did not hold back, basically saying, calm on down. Quoting here, please be my guest. I'll pay you to come campaign. Nothing would be better for Florida Republicans. Well, this back and forth comes after Virginia voters approved new maps that could favor Democrats, and Jeffries is vowing what he calls, quote, maximum warfare, all in response to Republican efforts in states like Florida. A special session on redistricting is expected next week. All right, let's move over to South Florida right now because the state's education commissioner is demanding some answers out of Broward County. And this is after a school district logo appears on a flyer or a pamphlet for a Democratic Party event. Commissioner Anastasios Kamouts is calling it, quote, inexcusable and, quote, a breach of public trust. He says that school public resources should never be used for politics. And now he is calling for discipline for anybody who was involved. The district at this time has not responded, although we have reached out to see if they want to give us a statement or make a comment. We'll keep you posted on that. All right, let's talk about this major fraud case coming right out of Florida here. A public insurance adjuster is now under arrest, accused of stealing more than $700,000 that was meant for Hurricane Ian victims. State investigators say that Francisco Chaparro Arus took money from 13 homeowners. Allegedly, they say he forged their signatures, then hid the checks, and then kept the cash. Officials say the money was spent through transfers, purchases, even casino withdrawals. Now he's facing multiple felony charges, including organized fraud and exploiting an elderly person. State leaders say it's a warning that if you commit fraud in Florida, you will be caught. All right, that's it for 3:35. I'll be back in our next hour to tell you about an unusual showdown between two Republican lawmakers, and one of them is from Florida. I'll have that story coming up at 4:35. I'm Anita Padilla, the news director here at Florida's Voice. Drew, back over to you.
All right, AP in the Florida's Voice newsroom, we appreciate it. Anytime you want to check out the stories that they are working on, pretty simple. You just go to flvoicenews.com, the website. 866-588-8303 is the phone number. By the way, if you want to hear a little bit of what Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader, said about the redistricting Democrat complete and utter gerrymandering vote that took place in Virginia, I added the extra words there. Here's something that he said about the Virginia redistricting vote. Here he was, stepping up to the mic.
The Florida Republicans is F around and find out.
What?
If they go down the road of a DeSantis dummy mander, the Florida Republicans are going to find themselves in the same situation as Texas Republicans, who are on the run right now. And under no circumstances are Texas Republicans picking up 5 seats. They'll be fortunate if they get 2 or 3.
Let me just stop there. With all due respect, sir, I don't like your attitude. How about that? I don't like that. You know, I venture to guess that Evan Power doesn't like that attitude either. He's joining us right now here on Florida's Voice, Florida GOP chairman. Sir, I don't like his attitude. I'm just saying that flat out. How about that?
Well, I think his attitude is whatever his attitude is. He's like a schoolyard bully that is beat somebody up and stole their money and then doesn't want anyone to talk. What he did in Virginia was a travesty. You're taking a state that voted for 48% for Donald Trump, and it's going to only have one Republican. But I welcome him to bring his war machine to Florida, as he claims it is, because we saw what it was when he spent $20 million against us in 2 special elections. It was just like him, weak.
Yeah. By the way, let me just say that quickly about what he's planning to bring here in the Florida, messing around in the machine. I think that it's so obvious, Evan, that they don't want to talk about policy at all, right? They don't want to talk about how their policy is so much better than the Republican policies and what we're trying to do. They don't want to bring that up. All they want to do is mess around, gerrymander, try. I don't want to say that they cheat necessarily, but I don't know. I got questions about stuff. Anyway, the point is that I don't like the attitude, and I also don't like the fact that they're so dishonest with the American people, the party as a whole, how they won't even tell you who they are, except when they tell you how left-leaning and Marxist, communist, socialist they are. Then they have more no problem, right? Right, Evan?
Well, that's the thing, is they can't win on the battlefield of ideas.
Yeah.
And when they compete here in Florida on ideas, they fail, which is why I welcome Hakeem Jeffries. He should move here. Probably RPOF, I'll speak up for myself. I'll give him room on the second floor of this building so he can run his campaign operation out of here, because he will do more for us than anybody else, because their ideas are the ideas of Ilhan Omar, AOC, and Mandami. And then here in Florida, their advocates are Carlos Guillermo Smith and Anna Escamani. They cannot win on those ideas. That's why we have a 1.5 million voter advantage. So I welcome weak Hakeem to come down here and compete with us, because we'll win time and time and time again.
Did you just say weak Hakeem? Is that going to be the new? You've got to put that up on your social media. The weak Hakeem. You got to at or do something with that. I don't know, hashtag it, because that's really. It's really good. All right. Speaking of really good, how about the court ruling defending free speech here in the state and this meritless lawsuit that went down? Tell everybody what happened here.
Well, so we had a county party in Manatee County that was talking about Charlie Kirk's death and was, had a memorial service for Charlie Kirk. And that was a trying time for all of us. And those of us who knew Charlie and knew the organization, that was a trying time. And someone attacked us or attacked the Manatee County Party for using that free speech and sued actually the Manatee County Party and their chairman, Mr. Flanagan, for using free speech. And not only did we win the lawsuit, but the judge invited us to put a slap claim in so we can get attorney's fees, because free speech is important here in Florida. We value free speech. And I think that is should be a crystal moment for us, that we're not going to back down from our ideas. We're going to say exactly what we say, and we're willing to go to court to defend that. There's another thing for weak Hakeem to mention, right, Evan? Like, how about free speech? Do you like free speech? No, you only like the free speech that you like, right? Only if it's approved by you and the party. Other than that, you don't really like it too much. This is like a perfect example of that. No, it's a perfect example. And you see what they do is they try to suppress free speech. And also today, you've seen they've heralded the Southern Poverty Law Center for their work on free speech. Now we find out they're the ones who are funding the KKK. They're the ones who are funding the people that have said the horrible things. So it was all a setup to make us all look bad. While we're advocating to help average Floridians, they're trying to set people up to censor speech so that we cannot communicate with our voters. And it shows how sad and pathetic the Democrat Party has become. Yeah. And before we go, Evan, let's talk about this. What's going on there in District 2? You've been out and about talking to the people. What are they talking to you about? What's been going on there in Congressional District 2? So I love the outpouring of support. We have over 2,000 donors to this campaign. People are pouring in to support our campaign like every other organization I build. It's grassroots up. But what they're talking to me about a lot is the Save America Act. They do not understand why Congress is not passing simple laws that require voter ID around the rest of the country. You talked about cheating a little bit earlier. They're seeing our big wins here in Florida losing in other places like Georgia, Virginia, and people think that we should have the Save America Act passed. So I will advocate for that for day one. Senator Scott retweeted us today. I agree with him and Senator Moody. We need to blow up the filibuster and pass the SAVE Act immediately.
All right, Evan, listen, great to see you. God bless you. And looking forward to the next time we get together. And we got a lot to talk about because there's a lot going on, especially with Week Akeem, which I'll borrow it. If I borrow that on social media, I'll give you credit. Okay, Evan?
That's fair.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. All right, I'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
All right. That's Evan Power joining us here on Florida's Voice, Florida GOP chair. And I'm going to borrow it. See, it's like, if I give him credit, it's just like I
like that. That's good.
Yeah, I borrow it. And, it's not. I'm not taking it. I'm not taking credit for it. I want to give him credit because I think it's really good. Weak Akeem. That's pretty funny. All right. I'll tell you somebody who isn't weak and has demonstrated it on Capitol Hill. Sometimes you just have to confront people this way because they're looking for their viral gotcha moment. With RFK Jr. on Capitol Hill once again today, being questioned by senators, being questioned about all kinds of things. Like if you have somebody, like, for example, Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, talking about the U.S. economy, the left will turn it into something completely different. Talk about I don't know. Do you believe that Donald Trump won the election in 2020? I was like, what does that have to do with the economy? What are we talking about here? They do that because they want their viral moment. They're trying to get it. And here is someone who was trying to get it today. And I just want to show you what arguing with the left is like on Capitol Hill. Democrat Senator Tina Smith, who was trying to argue with HHS Secretary RFK Jr. And it comes down to the conversation about what's going on with illegals being taken off of Medicare. Now, you have illegals in this country, and we know this. Millions, I think 7 million, who were receiving health care through Medicare that should not have been. That's it. Full stop. But for some reason, I guess the Democrat doesn't want to go there or talk about that specifically. It's
recommending zeroing out funding for Title X, which would eliminate screenings for cervical cancer and would almost certainly result in higher unintended pregnancies.
Can I respond to some of your earlier statements?
Please.
First of all, there are no cuts in Medicaid. I keep saying...
Did I say Medicare or Medicaid? Okay. Medicaid we're talking about. I may have said Medicare. I just got to correct myself. All right, go ahead. Yeah, do it.
Drew Steele. Fact check.
We fact check in real time. Did I say Medicare or Medicaid?
I forget at this point.
Okay, thanks. Okay, he doesn't know. I fact checked myself and maybe I didn't need to. Anyway, moving on. So the conversation was about Medicaid. Here it comes.
Here's what the CBO said. Fiscal year 2025, $668 billion. Fiscal year 2036, $981 billion.
Mr.
That's
Secretary
not a cut.
Kennedy,
It's a 47%
$1 trillion
increase.
in cuts, according to the CBO. 7 million people losing their health insurance because of the Trump administration actions.
Here we go. All right. I just set it up by telling you that they were in the country illegally. She knows it. So does RFK Jr., but she's still going to say it anyway because that's their talking point.
It's not debatable.
There's nobody who is legally enrolled in Medicaid who is losing coverage.
That is just not true.
Nobody.
That is just not true.
It is so.
How else would you like to respond to my questions about why the administration is cutting preventative care?
We're putting, a lot of it is being returned to the states. We're doing a $667 billion block grant to the states.
So it pivoted from, they were illegal. They were illegally using the system. Okay, well, what about the preventative issue here. You know, we're talking about block grants to the states to decide because of the Dobbs decision and, you know, killing babies and stuff like that. Who's going to get the money and what they're going to use the money for, the block grants. And that wasn't even a good enough discussion for the Democrat senator who wanted to fight with RFK Jr. on that as well, even though he's giving her the facts. States are getting the money. They do what they want to do with the money. No, we don't like that. Oh, is that how that works? No, it's not how that works.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
The first moment I walked into my home, I could hear my footsteps echo off the back wall. The first thing I thought in my head was, man, furniture is going to be real expensive. The VA not requiring any down payment prior to buying the home allowed me to take that money I had budgeted to go out and buy furniture, food, cleaning supplies, pretty much everything I needed. Purchasing a home is scary, but ultimately it's not impossible, and they make it so that anybody can do it.
To learn more, visit va.gov/home loans.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
When I was 19 and I was going to shows, I was not thinking about permanent hearing loss. I wasn't thinking about tinnitus.
Sometimes my kids are having a conversation with me and that ringing starts in my ear. They're talking to me and I hear their voice, but I can't focus on what they're saying.
The audiologist, he told me that most of his clients are not old people. They're kids that have their earphones in.
I have a lot of regret about not protecting my ears sooner.
Protect your ears at all times, no matter what. It's not something you can get back.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little fly, you sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step.
Yeah, let's go.
Guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Dad.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Listen, I've lived in Southwest Florida long enough to know that when I needed countertops, you go to the best. Who's the best? Rock Solid on J&C Boulevard in Naples. First of all, Rock Solid's consultants, I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that they were knowledgeable, gave me all the information I needed to make the best decision. I love that fabrication is done on premises. It's not like they're subbing out the job to some third party, right? If you're looking for countertops, backsplash, you know where to go. Rock Solid, J&C Boulevard in Naples.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
One of my buddies was like, can we rent this thing? And I was like, bro, what if we just ask about prom?
Right.
What if they take us? It's tomorrow. Like, that'd be insane.
It was a little light bulb. And we were like, well, what time is prom? And from there, we checked our schedule and we were able to make it happen. Hearing about prom, I mean, I have such special memories, like with my high school experience with my prom, and knowing that we could add the weenie magic of the big dog to it, we figured it had to be done.
D, this is, this is cool. I think it's cool. Maybe others do not, but would you have taken to your high school prom the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
No.
We can't be friends. Of course you do. Those are a few students from a Kansas high school that rode to prom in style when they were able to enlist the services of an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. They showed up in the Oscar Mayer Wiener. Come on. That's brilliant. That's it. No, not at all. Like, you wouldn't.
No.
You almost sound put off. Like, very.
I can't be convinced of this. I'm sorry.
Where's Nina when you need her? She's not even. What's going on?
I'd rather show up in an ice cream truck.
You would. All right. So for those that for those that have grown up maybe in the Northeast and then moved to the state of Florida, the wisest decision you ever made. Let's say you grew up in New York, maybe even New York City, like I did. And let's say your Oscar Mayer Wienermobile was the Mr. Softy ice cream truck. The greatest ice cream as a child you could possibly have. When Mr. Softy's coming down the block, you hear that ringing, you're out the door. Doesn't matter what your parents are doing. Doesn't matter if it's dinner time, whatever it is. Boom, you're out the door for the Mr. Softy. Greatest ice cream ever. Would you go to prom in a Mr. Softy ice cream truck? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I can get with that. But then you're forced to give people ice cream out of the truck because they expect it. You can't just show up in the truck. See, in the Oscar Mayer...
How cool would that be?
Well, oh boy, now you're stretching it. See? Yeah, you're right. So if you could show up to your prom in the Mr. Soft...
And provide ice cream to all your classmates?
You're the best. You're the best. You're king of the prom. That's it.
History.
You are automatically history-making king of the prom. So in Florida, what would that be? In Florida, you would show up. I guess you could still show up in an ice cream truck. But I'm trying to think of if there's a brand or something that you could show up with that would be Florida-centric, and it's a truck, like a food truck.
Buc-ee's.
Oh, I don't think Buc-ee's has a food truck, though. But that would be awesome.
Culver's.
I don't think Culver's has a food truck. So... something with Buc-ee's would be kind of cool. I wonder if they do. They have everything else. By the way, just so you understand. Loyal. So, whatevs. All right. Is there something else we can talk about here before we go to break? Probably. Yep. As we like to say around here, 2.5 minutes, you can never get back. All right. We will get to the very fine people hoax that now takes on a whole brand new meaning when we found out that Charlottesville and the Unite the Right that showed up that the president talked about, where there were agitators that were showing up, and then the very fine people hoax was born. The whole thing was a pile of hoax. I don't know if that's a thing. Hoax is, what's plural of hoax? D, is it hoaxes?
Hoaxes.
Hoaxes. Okay. The Southern Poverty Law Center was funding Unite the Right, who showed up at Charlottesville. They were funding it. The whole Very Fine People hoax event. We're going to get to this coming up, in case you don't know the story. It's big.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge. I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
The best words to hear at the TSA security checkpoint? You're good to go. So check before you jet. Avoid delays at TSA security checkpoints by making sure you have an acceptable form of ID. That means a real ID, passport, or other acceptable forms of identification.
Visit tsa.gov/ID to check the full list of acceptable IDs. Avoid travel delays by checking ID requirements, and you're good to go.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele. Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Congratulations on your show. Congratulations on your new show. Big deal, huh?
That's why shows like yours are so important. We have an independent county elected sheriff that's the head of law enforcement in Jacksonville/Duval County. And I know how to work toward making this city safe.
We can't be shy about speaking on things such as faith and politics. We have to remember, in a free society, the public square belongs to all of us.
I'm not interested in North Florida looking like Orlando or Miami. I love where we live, but I think that good jobs means that people that live in this district can stay in this district.
Fishing and hunting is funding a large part of your conservation projects in Florida, and we want to make sure that those are forever preserved.
And the problem with this industry at this point is that they actually target our youth. You can see it in their marketing strategies where it's bright colors, fun names.
And that's going to be endlessly litigated.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
What does life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. Fighting for all veterans. Making sure they get the benefits and care they've earned. Rebuilding communities after disaster strikes. And adapting to support today's veterans. Meeting them where they are. The VFW. Still leading. Still advancing. Still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
I can trace family members who served from World War I to today, each one helping shape who I am. My family chose to share their stories with the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. Voices, letters, and memories that bring their service to life. Searching for their stories was easy. You can discover powerful stories too, told through the voices of America's veterans. Explore, remember, and share at loc.gov/vets.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Hey, it's Drew Steele, and I have to tell you, when my wife and I talked about getting new kitchen countertops for our house, we know who to call. Rock Solid Countertops and More, 2240 JNC Boulevard in Naples. And they have been absolutely amazing. Hugo and the team are the best. The workmanship has been absolutely incredible. The install was so easy. The process was perfect. Taking everything out, bringing the new stuff in. The quartz countertop is unbelievably beautiful, and my wife is super happy, I'll tell you. You know they have the best quality and selection of marble, quartz, granite, and a one-stop shop for all of your kitchen, outdoor, and bathroom needs. I've known it for years. I've lived in Southwest Florida 40 years. There was really only one place I was going to go. It's Rock Solid Countertops and More. I would suggest you give them a call, 596-7676. They're at 2240 JNC Boulevard in Naples. Find out what they can do for you. Countertops, cabinets, plantation shutters, they do it all. Rock solid countertops and more.
The other day, a man called saying my electric was way past due. He threatened to turn off my power if I didn't buy a gift card to pay the bill. I said, look, fella, I wasn't born yesterday. Gift cards are for gifts, not for paying bills, and I'm sure as heck not buying you a gift. So I hung up on the crook, and my lights never went out. Know the signs of scams, and leave scammers in the dust. If someone asks for a gift card as payment, it's likely a scam. A public service message from the Better Business Bureau.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us a voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic. I want to thank you for your support for veterans in the military. Educating us. Standing up for conservatism. Giving us the truth.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Well, hey, everybody. Glad you're joining us today on Florida's Voice. My name is Drew Steele. Big D on the other side of the glass. You got Nina in the breaking newsroom, and you hanging out with us at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to check out the program after hours, Florida's Voice with Drew Steele, the podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can always check it out. And we come to find out that today, D has admitted that he would rather drive an ice cream truck to his high school prom than the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, which I think is... But serving ice cream, that's the idea. That if you had a choice, you
right.
would...
It's not just driving the truck there.
Okay. Well, but what if you could give out hot dogs from the Wienermobile?
Think ice cream would be the more hot commodity.
Oh, I see what you did there. Look at you. Who's with me? All right, we got to go. All right, so coming up, we've got Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson who's going to join us. We got to talk about the wildfires going on here in the state. There's a lot that is going on. So we'll get to all of that in just a minute. And also, hard to believe, but we have another hoax that has been identified that is now in the open of what was actually going on with Democrats. They've done it once again. What did they do? It's a
bowl of doggy do.
Pretty much. And what we come to find out this time is... You've got the Justice Department who realized that the Southern Poverty Law Center was funding all kinds of different groups, hate groups, with messaging, coordination, even providing transportation. And in one case, it was Unite the Right, the ones that showed up at Charlottesville, that we got the Very Fine People hoax out of, where we had enough people going along with all of this, and too many people were talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center and some of the things that they have done and what they've done in the past, and knew that this was a hoax all along. But we're going to get into more details of what we found out as well today on top of that, and how the media is now expressing what really took place. See, Because according to USA Today, the Southern Poverty Law Center was indicted for paying sources to infiltrate the hate groups. Oh, I see. They weren't giving money to the hate groups to commit hate against, let's just say, political enemies in some cases, like Charlottesville and other places that were going on. You know, remember what was going on in Charlottesville, the removing of a statue that maybe some people were like, hey, you don't get the opportunity to do this. Like, just because you want this statue removed doesn't mean you show up in mass and you take it away. No, there's a process and we get to have a say in it. And they're like, no, you don't have a say in it. See, we have to remember what that was all about. But USA Today said they were indicted for paying sources to infiltrate the hate groups. Oh, is that what it was? So they were infiltrating. I get it. No, I don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? That's their headline. That's not what went on here. But that's the way the media is portraying it. Oh, they are definitely going there, trying to cover for what they know full well went down in Charlottesville and other places that we'll get to coming up in just a bit. But we have to talk about this first. All right, let's find out what's going on right now here in the state of Florida. We've got the Agriculture Commissioner, Wilton Simpson, who's joining us right now on Florida's Voice. Always appreciate a visit, and I know we've got a drought here, and we got a lot of trouble because of the drought. First of all, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, Drew, and you couldn't be more correct. The entire state of Florida is in drought conditions, and a lot of the state of Florida is in extreme drought, and it's creating a lot of problems for forest fires, and not just forest fires, but fires all over the state. And so we're working very hard to abate those things. We've been on many fires the last few days. We're going to some more tomorrow, and we're very, very fortunate to have the Florida Forest Service in the state of Florida, along with all of our local firefighters. Every county team is working hand in hand with the Florida Forest Service and the local firefighters and federal firefighters. So we got a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I saw a map that I think it was Matt Devitt that put out this map about the fires, and I couldn't believe how many places across the state, from Central Florida and the Tampa area through Gainesville and Tallahassee, like it looks like the Tallahassee area, and especially in the Panhandle and Gainesville in that area as well. Like there's so many small little fires that are popping up here. And what is it that you do now? The process by which we have to start to attack these wildfires. What do we do equipment-wise? What do we do about this?
Yeah, Drew. So, in planning for a season like now, probably the worst fire season, maybe it'll turn out to be the worst in history, but certainly the worst in many decades. You had to start planning this at least 3 years ago. And what do I mean by that? In the last 3 years, when I became Commissioner of Agriculture, the average age of your bulldozer in the state of Florida for the Florida Fire Service was 19 years old. Today, we have bought 80 new bulldozers in the last 3 years. It's an average age of 14 years. And I'm hoping by the end of next year, we'll have that under 10 years. And the industry standards would say that your average age of your dozers in this kind of intensity should be 8 to 10 years old. So I hope to be there within the, maybe sometime next year. That's number one, because with our dozers, we put out a lot of fires. Number two, we bought 10 helicopters. Actually, we have 10 today. We bought 9 helicopters. When I became the commissioner, we had 1 helicopter. And so now we have 10 helicopters to fight fire with. When I got here, we had 1 helicopter and we had some Hueys, some federal Hueys from the Vietnam era that we could use, but were very unreliable. Those helicopters in the last few years have run thousands and thousands of missions on putting fires out. And then the third thing we did was, and there's fourths, but the third thing is we bought a lot of drones. So we have drones throughout this state now. Some of these large fires that you mentioned in and around Putnam and Clay County and Leon, when they have these green spots in the middle of these big fires, we can go in there now with the drone and burn those areas out so we make a defensible space. So not only will the drone, if someone, we use those drones in many capacities. One of them is to measure the size of the fire. They do it very accurately. Sometimes we go in and we burn sections of that fire out. but that technology is really putting our firefighters in a much safer position, and not having to be in the middle of some of those fires, and bringing a lot of technology like that has been very, very helpful. So the last 3 years we've done that. We have also made big progress on our pay for our firefighters. They're woefully underpaid, as were many people in the Department of Agriculture. And of course, in the last 3 years, we've had substantial raises for a lot of our frontline responders, and we're very proud of that too. So we've got a full staff, which is very needed right now. Again, it's the worst wildfire in maybe the history, but it's certainly the last 30 years. And Rick Dolan is doing an amazing job protecting Florida lives, number one, and structures, number two.
Wow. So did he also say that we're not even in the peak fire season yet? It's typically the end of May. Is that right?
Yeah. So we're at the beginning of the major fire season. We will be at peak fire season sometime generally by the middle to end of May. That's correct, because lightning strikes have not even started yet. Right. So most of the fires that you see today were started by a backyard fire got out of hand. And everyone listening, please put those backyard fires out. If you don't have a burn ban, most counties have a burn ban today. But if you're in a county without a burn ban, make sure you put that fire out every night before you leave it thoroughly out with a water hose or water. Make sure you have a defensible space around your home. Your roofs are cleared off, your gutters are cleaned out. Make sure that, because when we get there, we can't be everywhere. We need a defensible space around your home. You can go to, I think the website's BeReadyWildfireFL.com. Go to that website. You can get hints and of how to manage that. And also, if you live around some of these areas that are susceptible to fire, make sure that you have, if you had to leave in 5 minutes or 10, what would you take with you, right? Your medicines, your pets, make sure you've got all the things ready so that you could load up and be going in less than 10 minutes. Because unfortunately, in some cases, that's exactly how fast these things happen. And sometimes evacuations are necessary because we're going to save life first and then property second.
You know, I'm thinking about the impact on agriculture. It's already been hit so hard. I'm assuming that this is also going to be a situation for them that they're going to have to be wary of. Is there anything going on with that as far as our farmers here in the state?
Well, the challenges our farmers have had, as you know, Drew, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had many major hurricanes that greatly affected our farmers. We've now had the worst freeze in many decades this year that affected our farmers. And sure, just like any other crop, our forests are part of the agriculture community, but then you will have farms that will have to be intruded upon, obviously, to help put out some of these fires. And so, yeah, farmers are, again, being negatively impacted. It's something that as a farmer, you sort of expect, you know, every so many years you're going to have these kind of years. Unfortunately, you know, we just seem to have them back to back, from hurricanes to freezes, now, you know, a drought. And a drought is probably affecting the farmer more than the current fire situation, but that can change rapidly also. Right. So our farmers are very resilient. Again, it's still the second leading driver of the economy in this state. We're very proud of that resilience. But when you go to your store, buy fresh from Florida products and make sure you're supporting your local farmers.
So again, if people want to, I think FDACS has a website that you can see the active wildfires. I think there's a map, right, that you can go to, or even if you just go to your social media, I believe it's there as well, so they can.
There is a map, and you can download that map on your phone and get the updates. Will probably, but there are several companies that put those maps out. Okay. You can probably go to our Florida Forest Service website and get that site also, and or to my social media, we put one there. And it's an interactive map. And so, yes, and it's something I think that Floridians should do. But the best thing that everyone can do is to help us prevent these fires. If you see a fire, clearly call in immediately, talk to your local authorities, make sure we're responding. And because the best fire to put out is one that never happened. That's number one. Yeah. But obviously, the quicker we can get to that fire, the quicker we can get it put out, which is clearly our goal.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, sir. We're keeping an eye on this story, and certainly we'll have you back to talk more about what is going on. And it's important that everybody take this very seriously. I mean, we're talking about a drought we haven't seen in like 30 to 40 years, probably the kind of risk that we've got going on top of all the other things that have been happening in the state. But we bounce back. We're resilient. We're going to just keep an eye on this, and just a lot of prayers for everyone across the state to just stay vigilant. So, all right, sir. All the best. God bless. We'll see you soon, okay?
Hey, thanks, Drew. God bless.
That is Florida's Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson joining us here on Florida's Voice. Always appreciate when he stops by the program. All right, let's get to this as well. Kind of hinted at it earlier. So the Southern Poverty Law Center. It was yesterday that you had the FBI Director Kash Patel, along with the acting Attorney General, that were talking about the indictments, 11 counts of wire fraud and false statements. They funneled about $3 million to persons in extremist groups like the American Nazi Party and the KKK. Like, this was going on. And then you find out on top of all of that, as I believe, did we even play this? I don't think we had the chance to play the audio. I could play a little bit of the audio from the FBI director.
We're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive, sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups.
D, like, you can't make it up. Like, right? So there's the story, right? You can't make up how bad this story is. So the Southern Poverty Law Center that's saying we're funding all of these groups to fight hatred and racism and the like, right? Turns out that they're funding the groups. They're not funding people. They're not funding to fight against them. They're actually funding them. Are you serious right now? Aiding and abetting literally a criminal conspiracy if it's proven in a court. And you have media outlets that are describing it a whole different way because it's blowing up the narrative, so to speak, politically. Breaking news from the New York Times. The Justice Department charged the Southern Poverty Law Center, a civil rights group, with financial crimes, accusing the organization of fraud. Whoa. Oh, you got a lot missing there. Hold on a second. You just had some of the facts laid out, and you missed it. You were claiming you were fighting racism, and then you were funding it. What is that? Like, how do you put a headline out like that? You have what we talked about earlier. The Southern Poverty Law Center, this from USA Today, was indicted for paying sources to infiltrate the hate groups. Oh, I see what it was. No, they were paying people to get in and infiltrate so they could what? So now that they're in the group, and what are you going to do about it? You didn't do anything about it. If you say that's what you were doing, well, here's the thing. The Southern Poverty Law Center never said that that's what they were doing. USA Today and others have been saying that. So now the spin is on. The lie, the spin has begun. So they're busted. We found out, allegedly, what they've done. And I'm going to get to the Charlottesville issue in just a second. Because, this plays into the very fine people hoax going against President Trump, Charlottesville. So now you have people on social media who are saying things like they had informants deep inside the neo-Nazi organizations reporting on the violent and hateful activities. And now you got Trump's DOJ that's indicting them. This is what people are saying. Like, they're trying to make it sound like they were in there and they were heroes and doing something good. Meanwhile, it was nothing of the sort. That's not what they're doing. And that's not their job. Like, since when does... Am I missing something? Since when does, like, a law center come along and decide that they're going to infiltrate to find out more about... Like, that's not your gig. Like, maybe that's what law enforcement would do, but that's not your job.
Or a PI.
Exactly. But this is the angle that they're taking now. You see, it's all about Trump because, you know, it's TDS on steroids once again.
If you're crazy and you know it sounds like this. Donald Trump and his extremist allies.
Oh, and they're crazy, all right. Because it's Trump and because they're busted, now they, again, if it's true that they were funding the racism as opposed to exposing it, then people have to ask, well, wait a second, who's funding it? And then when they were being funded, where were they going? Oh, you mean like places like Charlottesville, where the president was like, there were very fine people on both sides, but then you had Unite the Right that was being funded, apparently, allegedly, by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They come along, cause all kinds of chaos. And remember what the lead of the story is. There were people in the city in Charlottesville that were upset about the removal of a Confederate statue. And it's not somebody's decision to come along and say, hey, 5 of us don't like this, so we're going to tear it down. Remember that whole thing that we went through in 2017, Dee? Do you remember all of that? When you would have mobs and groups of people coming along and doing all of these different things to these monuments and statues and tearing it down. And people were like, hold on a second. Where are the cops? What's going on here? Why are we not stopping this? Why isn't this being stopped? Oh, no, you don't understand. The people are very upset about this. Okay, but you don't get to do this. And they did it. And so you had the Unite the Right group, was funded by the same group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, that was also giving Democrats all the anti-hate talking points. Don't forget about that, too. They were calling it right-wing hate. They were spreading propaganda. They were doing all different kinds of things, making it seem like if it was something that it wasn't, and helping to fund it. And you had all the talking points, everything going on in Charlottesville. And oh, by the way, you also had a president of the United States who was claiming that Charlottesville, what a setup. So you see how the Southern Poverty Law Center came along with this, right? And helped out with the situation in Charlottesville. And then you have a president who told you that the reason why he decided to run was because of Charlottesville. Now, if you remember Joe Biden, well, I don't know why I'm laughing. Of course you remember Joe Biden. I know there's a joke in there about Joe not knowing Joe, but that's not really kind. Here's Joe Biden.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville.
Is that right? Yeah, I know, the veins bulging and the whole thing. How many times? He must have said veins bulging so many times. I don't know. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I don't really know. Anyway, yeah, so he said that a lot, and that's the reason why. I remember that in 2020. But the great Maze Moore reminds us via video, and I love it. He's fantastic. So here you go. The great Maze Moore. You have Joe Biden who says that he decided to run because of Charlottesville. There's only one problem. Here's some video showing that it couldn't have been anything further from the truth. December 13th, 2017. Remember, it happened in 2017. In, what was it, in the summer, right?
I have no intention now. I've done nothing at all to put together any kind of operation to run. And as I said, as most of you guys know, no one ever doubts I mean what I say. The problem is I sometimes say all that I mean. And if I were offered the nomination by the Lord Almighty right now today, I would say no, because we're not ready. The family's not ready to do this.
All right, let me just stop. That was December 13th, 2017. It happened in August. Why didn't he say it there on The View? Here's January 2018.
I'm not decided to run or not run. My focus is for real.
That's 2018. He didn't say anything then. 2019. He didn't say anything then. He didn't say anything at all about it for years. Wait a second. It sounds like you lied about the Charlottesville thing. It's almost like it was a setup. Feels that way.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
After my injury, I lost my sense of purpose.
I lost the ability to tuck my daughters into bed.
Homes for Our Troops build specially adapted homes with features that allow our veterans to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free, thanks to our donors and supporters.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a home where I can be a dad.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a brighter future.
We need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Learn more at hfotusa.org.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Since the dawn of time, man and wildlife have shared a connection. And hunting traditions passed down from generation to generation have connected man to the natural world. From bow and arrow to hook and bullet, as man evolved, our link to those traditions remains. Yet today, our basic instinct to provide and as part of the hunt, to conserve and appreciate the natural world has fallen under attack for the first time in human history. Misguided politicians and radical activists pushing an agenda to end hunting as we know it are leading a war against our heritage. In their misguided policies and protests, they demonize hunters and belittle our way of life. The result? Hunters leaving the sport in droves while our wildlife and ecosystems suffer the consequences as conservation funding dries up. Named after the father of the North American model for wildlife conservation, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting in the arena to protect and expand the rights of hunters everywhere. We will fight back against these forces to make sure that every American has a right to hunt, enshrined in their state constitutions. We will educate the next generation in our traditions and seek to expand accessibility so that everyone can enjoy our pastimes. And we will continue to hold true to our namesake's efforts to protect, preserve, and ensure open access to our nation's wildlands. Teddy Roosevelt's vision for American conservation defines our modern hunting and conservation system. A system upheld by the idea that conservation efforts are crucial to our hunting way of life, and that hunters are crucial to successful conservation.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Look, are you still playing defense with your money? It's time to shift gears and seize the fresh opportunities this new pro-business environment has to offer. That's exactly what certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend and the team at Advantage Retirement Group do for high net worth investors like you, helping you go on the offense with advanced tax strategies, thoughtful risk management, and forward-thinking financial planning. Imagine enjoying the retirement lifestyle you've worked so hard to achieve, all while staying one step ahead, and in a changing world, you've got to do it. Alfie and his team design personalized strategies to strengthen your financial foundation so you can focus on living life on your terms. Ready to find out more? Text VISIT to 239-747-7470. Again, you can call or text 239-747-7470. Schedule your one-on-one consultation today and see how a proactive approach can help you thrive no matter what the market does next. Don't wait. Call or text VISIT to 239-747-7470 right now.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to watch it, FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Anytime you want to call, 866-588-8303. And anytime you want to check us out over the weekend, that's good because we work on weekends. Saturdays, to be exact, 4 to 6 p.m. It's our brand new time for Right Line, your national voice, our national program, streaming Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. at Right Line News on X and Facebook, so you can watch live. And you can also listen on great radio stations across the country. It was just about time. Oh, look, the news breaks over the weekend. Everybody knows it. We needed to do this. So I said, all right, let's do it. So Right Line, your national voice, live Saturday afternoons, 4 to 6 p.m. You won't miss any of the news that's breaking from now on, as long as we're going to be doing it. And I hope that is going to be a very, very, very long time. I don't know. There was a joke in there somewhere, and it was in my head, and it's like, nah, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. All right, let's see. Top of the news from the Florida's Voice newsroom right now.
Top of the news, Florida's headlines. Now.
And my head's telling me that was the right decision. That's good. All right, AP Anita Padilla is in the Florida's Voice newsroom for the last time today. She's got the latest. What's up?
Hey there, Drew. Governor DeSantis dares House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries to come to Florida as the redistricting fight escalates in Washington. And Florida's GOP now blasting Virginia's maps as a partisan power grab. Those stories in just a moment, but first topping the news, we're going to start it out in Washington with a rare and escalating showdown. And this is between two Republicans, one of them from Florida. Congresswoman Nancy Mace and Congressman Corey Mills are now both trying to expel each other from the House. Mace filed a resolution first, citing a series of serious allegations against Mills, and then hours later, Mills fires back with his own resolution accusing her of political theater and sidestepping due process. The Ethics Committee is already investigating Mills, but neither expulsion effort has been scheduled for a vote. Removing a member, though, would require a 2/3 majority, something that rarely happens. All right, let's talk about this political war of words because it's really heating up between Florida and Washington. So today, Governor Ron DeSantis was firing back at the House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. This is after Jeffries threatened to target Florida over redistricting. DeSantis responded with a challenge to Jeffries, saying, "Please be my guest. I'll pay you to come campaign in Florida." Of course, this comes after Virginia approved new congressional maps that could favor Democrats, and Jeffries is promising what he called maximum warfare in response to GOP efforts elsewhere. Florida lawmakers are expected to take up that redistricting of the maps in a special session that is scheduled for next week. Now, that Virginia decision is drawing some reaction as well from Florida Republicans like State Party Chairman Evan Power, who is calling the new maps a blatant partisan power grab. In a statement, he accused Virginia Democrats of overriding a bipartisan system and handing control of map drawings to politicians. He warned that the move could lead to districts that favor Democrats and said it raises broader concerns about election integrity. Power also urged Republicans to turn out in force in the midterms, saying the party will respond through the ballot box. This new Virginia map eliminates an independent redistricting commission and just basically gives lawmakers more control over drawing the districts, setting up what could be a major battleground heading into 2026. All right, that is the latest right now at 4:35. Be sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms like X, Instagram, and Facebook. We'll keep you posted on everything you need to know in the world of politics in Washington and in Tallahassee. I'm Anita Padilla, the news director here at Florida's Voice. Drew, back over to you.
All right, back over to me. Thanks, AP, in the Florida's Voice newsroom. Anytime you want to check out the stories that they're working on, flvoicenews.com. That's the website. I have to be honest, I trust Barack Obama because I think he said something about Virginia that is very important. I admit it. I think he was spot on. This is what he said.
The process of political gerrymandering, I think, is damaging to Congress.
Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. That was Barack Obama in 2015 when he was talking about it being dangerous. That's a funny thing. What happened to him? So way back, and thanks to the great Maze Moore, who's done it again. 2015, there he is speaking out about gerrymandering. But of course, now it's like, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Whoever came up with that, by the way. I mean, sliced bread is good. It's not the greatest thing. It's a good thing. I could slice it myself, although I like when other people do. Anyway, the point is that that's what Barack Obama said about it. But what happens next? Where do we go from here? And some of the talk that's going on. Jason Sneed joining us here on Florida's Voice, Executive Director of Honest Elections Project. How do you not like honest elections? It's in the name. And here he is right now. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing very good, and I say the same thing all the time. How could you be against honest elections?
That's right. How could you be against it? So what is really ultimately at stake here with these, what's going on, for example, in Virginia, and we're hearing about other states as well. And look, we're even talking about it here in the state of Florida, the future of what we're going to be seeing now across the country.
Well, I think that as far as Virginia is concerned, now the question is: are the courts going to allow this blatantly illegal power grab to proceed, or are they going to stand up for the rule of law and the Virginia Constitution and put a stop to this effort, at least as far as the midterms are concerned? So we're going to be watching here very closely as litigation continues to develop in Virginia, and of course the outcome of that is going to determine whether or not we have a 6-5 map that fairly evenly divides a fairly evenly divided state, or if we're going to go to a radical 10-1 map based on the approval of just a hair over 51% of the electorate. And then I think beyond the borders of Virginia, I think we're going to see pressure on other states, both blue and red, to redistrict because everybody is going to take, however this case plays out, as evidence that we need to do more of this to keep trying to get a partisan edge.
So I wonder if that would be the impetus for a court, whether it's the Virginia Supreme Court or the Supreme Court in general, to take this on because it gets out of control. Like, it's like, they're looking and saying, okay, wait a second. Now this is getting way out of hand. Too much of this going on. We can't have this. Let's visit this case and see what's going on. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
Well, I think that it's actually really fairly simple as far as the Virginia Supreme Court is concerned. All they have to do is look at the facts of this particular case, and they have to say that the Constitution means what it says. In the state of Virginia, in order to even put one of these constitutional amendments on the ballot, you have to pass it through the legislature in 2 separate sessions, and there has to be an election in between. And what we saw in Virginia, the way that we got to this April 21st referendum, is that those protections were completely ignored by Democrats in the Virginia legislature. They extended a special session that had been convened in 2024 to consider budget measures. They extended that into 2025. Then they rewrote the rules of that special session using a party line vote to do it, to allow not just budget measures, but also this constitutional referral. Then they passed that in late October, which admittedly is before Election Day in the 2025 elections, but was actually 5 weeks into the election. Because you also have to remember, thanks to Democrats and their policies, we have 6 weeks of early voting. So the election was actually mostly over by the time they actually passed this the first time, purportedly. And so you had this series of efforts by the left to just simply steamroll provisions of the Virginia Constitution. They're playing fast and loose with the rules because they wanted to get this done fast enough to essentially rig the outcome of the midterms. So I think all the court has to do is look and see what the provisions of our state constitution and our state law says, and then rule in favor of the rule of law.
Let me ask you about this. And Jason Sneed, Executive Director, Honest Elections Project. You're talking about honest elections, but I also know that in the proposed constitutional amendment, it said restore fairness. It says it right in the amendment. And you being someone who loves honest elections, they just wanted to restore fairness, which brings me to another point. How could you put that in there? How could the language be like that? I mean, in and of itself, right there, I'm thinking, hey, a court needs to look at this. Am I wrong about that?
Well, in fact, that's part of one of the challenges, is challenging that highly misleading and very deliberately skewed language. The language on this ballot measure was supposed to be neutral. That's actually a fairly common requirement when you're talking about ballot measures. It's not supposed to be arguing for one side or the other.
Go figure.
And yet they filled this ballot measure language with all sorts of little tidbits that are clearly designed to skew the outcome. They called it a temporary change to Virginia's law. They said it was about restoring fairness. They very clearly designed this to put a thumb on the scale, and that's another one of the things that the Virginia Supreme Court ultimately is going to be deciding this case on. Did they in fact try to lead the voters to a particular conclusion? And I've got to tell you, I have looked at a lot of ballot measure summaries and ballot language, and this is one of the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, I bet. So then the last question I would ask, and this I guess is the most important, is can we win this case? Is this something that we could possibly win? I mean, how quickly can we get this through the system before, let's say, the 26 midterms? I mean, is this something that is full steam ahead for them, and then it's going to take time to get it through the courts? They'll probably try to hold it up. They'll do something to hold it up in the courts. I mean, what about that part of it?
Well, this has already been enjoined. In fact, there was another injunction that was just issued in a lower court just a few minutes ago. So this is moving extraordinarily fast, and it has to move quickly because even though the legislature has pushed the Virginia primaries back several weeks, you've got to remember that you have to print and mail ballots 45 days before the election. And before that, you have to know what the districts are so that people can actually qualify to run for office in those districts. So there's a whole calendar that is going to really kind of hit that mark in May. So I think we're going to get a ruling here relatively quickly, and I think that the Supreme Court understands that too. That's why we have oral argument in a case scheduled on Monday on all of these various procedural problems that this referendum has caused. But look, I mean, Governor Spanberger and the Democrats have really put the court into a bind here because they do have to consider this very expeditiously. But I would point out that if you look at the number of violations of law and of the Constitution, the way that this is very clearly an attempt to just railroad essentially any check and balance between them and this referendum, I think it's very clear how the court should rule. And if they allow this to proceed, then they are really countenancing an incredible and egregious power grab. And that really is going to be the death knell of free and fair elections in Virginia.
I can't let you leave without asking this. We've got a couple of minutes, so let's see if we can fit this in. Then would other people, would people look at the state of Florida now that are thinking about redistricting and look at it and say the same thing? Like that's what Florida's doing. They're doing the same thing that Virginia's doing. It's no different. Is it?
I think it actually is different. I think that if you look at the fact that the Florida legislature has control of this process, it's a very different sort of a thing than what we saw here in Virginia. I think that we also have to remember that this didn't get started with what Texas did in 2025.
Nope.
Texas is only a simple data point in a long history of the left using and abusing and weaponizing the power to draw maps. Look at every blue state in the country, Illinois and New York. They are gerrymandered.
Yeah.
Maryland is gerrymandered. And now they're trying to gerrymander Virginia. They call it a threat to democracy when Republicans do it, but then Democrats will do it. They will do it aggressively, and they will do it with maximum partisan impact. And they will say with a straight face that they are saving democracy. But I've got a news flash for them. You don't save democracy by ignoring all of the rules and burning it all down. And that's what they were seemingly prepared to do here in Virginia.
Yeah, but if you're on the left, that's what they think. That's the problem. That's exactly what they think. So you're fighting against that. All right, sir. Listen, this was great. Look forward to having you back. Hope we can do this again. All the best. God bless. We'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right. That is really good stuff right there. Jason Sneed joining us, Executive Director of Honest Elections Project. And, boy, let's hope that can be stopped. That would be nice. Although I don't know what we're worried about. Didn't Annabelle Spanberger say before she was elected governor?
The short answer is no. Certainly, Virginia, by constitutional amendment, has a new redistricting effort that was put in place and first utilized after in the 2021 redistricting. Certainly, I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
Huh. That's interesting. So she said she had no plan to redistrict Virginia, and then she did it. Wow, it's almost like they were trying to convince you in Virginia that she was some kind of moderate, and you fell for it, and then she's governing like a leftist. Yeah, that's exactly what went down.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
The first moment I walked into my home, I could hear my footsteps echo off the back wall. The first thing I thought in my head was, man, furniture is going to be real expensive. The VA not requiring any down payment prior to buying the home allowed me to take that money I had budgeted to go out and buy furniture, food, cleaning supplies, pretty much everything I needed. Purchasing a home is scary, but ultimately it's not impossible, and they make it so that anybody can do it.
To learn more, visit va.gov/home loans.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
A lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
When I was 19 and I was going to shows, I was not thinking about permanent hearing loss. I wasn't thinking about tinnitus.
Sometimes my kids are having a conversation with me and that ringing starts in my ear. They're talking to me and I hear their voice, but I can't focus on what they're saying.
The audiologist, he told me that most of his clients are not old people. They're kids that have their earphones in.
I have a lot of regret about not protecting my ears sooner.
Protect your ears at all times, no matter what. It's not something you can get back.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little
You sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step,
Yeah, let's go.
guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Dad.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Listen, I've lived in Southwest Florida long enough to know that when I needed countertops, you go to the best. Who's the best? Rock Solid on JNC Boulevard in Naples. First of all, Rock Solid's consultants, I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that they were knowledgeable, gave me all the information I needed to make the best decision. I love that fabrication is done on premises. It's not like they're subbing out the job to some third party, right? If you're looking for countertops, backsplash, you know where to go. Rock Solid, JNC Boulevard in Naples.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Delivery fee is not a tip. Please reward your driver for outstanding service. Tips aren't paychecks. Pay your employees.
Wait, what? Hey, Dee, does it bother you that Papa John's has on their pizza box that the delivery person should get tipped and that it's not included? Like, does that bother you?
How is it written?
All right, let's see. You had to ask me that. Now I got to look and see. It says delivery fee is not a tip. Please reward your driver for outstanding service. Delivery fee.
I guess I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. Delivery fee is not a tip. Please reward your driver for outstanding service.
What is the delivery fee?
I don't know. That part I didn't think about that. I don't know. Not sure what it is. So they have the pizza, the cost of the pizza, and then the delivery fee, and then hey, don't forget toss something in for the big guy. So I don't know. That doesn't bother me. I think when people see delivery fee, they're like, oh.
People are going to tip or they're not going to tip. It doesn't matter what it says on the box.
But it's about mistaking the delivery fee for the tip. That's all it is. So don't call it a delivery fee. Call it a service charge. Oh, don't do that because then people will freak out. Call it a bonus. I don't know what you call it, but I guess people are freaking out about that. What they should be freaking out is have you been out lately to buy a pizza? Is it just me or have pizza prices just gone through the roof? It feels like, I mean, I know
they're up there.
Yeah, everything is, but when I see pizza and I think, all right, this is dough, a little bit of sauce, some cheese. That's it. How much is this? Is it, what kind of oven are you using? Is it to pay? I don't know. Sometimes I think, wow, that's a pretty good gig right there, making pizzas right now for the cost. I don't know. Moving on. That's enough of that. I think I'm going to have a pizza tonight. Yes, I'm definitely going to have a pizza tonight. I just thought I would share what's in my brain with you. Some other things that are in my brain right now. What about this? This just popped up. Hold on a second. This from Fox News. Let's see what they have to talk about with regard to the redistricting vote.
Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger celebrating the win in yesterday's redistricting vote. Yeah. Voters narrowly approving a new pro-Democrat congressional map in a controversial referendum that critics have slammed as a, quote, power grab.
Yeah, but I guess there's some new news on that just came out a little while ago. I guess the Virginia Circuit Court has ruled that the redistricting vote is unconstitutional, and they've issued an injunction blocking the results from being certified. They blocked it. Wait a second. Hold on. Yeah. All right. So they're going to block it. It's going to be an appeal. It's going to make its way. This is the process, though. That's all this is. It's the process that's going to make its way to Virginia's Supreme Court. And like we just talked about a little earlier, it'll get to the court. And then no matter how the court decides, it's probably going to end up in the hands of the Supreme Court, who is going to have to make a expeditious decision or an expedient. Which one do you like better, expeditious or expedient? Which is better for you, D?
Expeditious.
Expeditious? Okay. Why don't you like expedient?
Didn't say I didn't like it. You said which one's better.
Oh, okay. There you go. I like both. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on the story, see how quickly things move. We got other things that are going on, and quickly we've got to move as well. As I heard a little bit of the music coming up for the break. Coming up after the break, we'll talk more about the maps in Florida and what the governor has been saying. There's a lot of Florida news out there today. Sheila Sherfilis McCormick resigning, no longer a U.S. representative. What next?
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
The best words to hear at the TSA security checkpoint? You're good to go. So check before you jet. Avoid delays at TSA security checkpoints by making sure you have an acceptable form of ID. That means a real ID, passport, or other acceptable forms of identification.
Visit tsa.gov/ID to check the full list of acceptable IDs. Avoid travel delays by checking ID requirements, and you're good to go.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele. Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Congratulations on your show. Congratulations on your new show. Big deal, huh?
That's why shows like yours are so important.
We have an independent county elected sheriff that's the head of law enforcement in Jacksonville/Duval County. And I know how to work toward making this city safe.
We can't be shy about speaking on things such as faith and politics. We have to remember, in a free society, the public square belongs to all of us.
I'm not interested in North Florida looking like Orlando or Miami. I love where we live, but I think that good jobs means that people that live in this district can stay in this district.
Fishing and hunting is funding a large part of your conservation projects in Florida, and we want to make sure that those are forever preserved.
And the problem with this industry at this point is that they actually target our youth. You can see it in their marketing strategies where it's bright colors, fun names.
And that's going to be endlessly litigated.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
What does life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. Fighting for all veterans. Making sure they get the benefits and care they've earned. Rebuilding communities after disaster strikes. And adapting to support today's veterans. Meeting them where they are. The VFW. Still leading. Still advancing. Still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
I can trace family members who served from World War I to today, each one helping shape who I am. My family chose to share their stories with the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. Voices, letters, and memories that bring their service to life. Searching for their stories was easy. You can discover powerful stories too, told through the voices of America's veterans. Explore, remember, and share at loc.gov/vets.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent. but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Hey, it's Drew Steele, and I have to tell you, when my wife and I talked about getting new kitchen countertops for our house, we know who to call. Rock Solid Countertops and More, 2240 JNC Boulevard in Naples. And they have been absolutely amazing. Hugo and the team are the best. The workmanship has been absolutely incredible. The install was so easy. The process was perfect. Taking everything out, bringing the new stuff in. The quartz countertop is unbelievably beautiful, and my wife is super happy, I'll tell you. You know they have the best quality and selection of marble, quartz, granite, and a one-stop shop for all of your kitchen, outdoor, and bathroom needs. I've known it for years. I've lived in Southwest Florida 40 years. There was really only one place I was going to go. It's Rock Solid Countertops and More. I would suggest you give them a call, 596-7676. They're at 2240 JNC Boulevard in Naples. Find out what they can do for you. Countertops, cabinets, plantation shutters, they do it all. Rock Solid Countertops and More.
The other day, a man called saying my electric was way past due. He threatened to turn off my power if I didn't buy a gift card to pay the bill. I said, look, fella, I wasn't born yesterday. Gift cards are for gifts, not for paying bills, and I'm sure as heck not buying you a gift. So I hung up on the crook, and my lights never went out. Know the signs of scams, and leave scammers in the dust. If someone asks for a gift card as payment, it's likely a scam. A public service message from the Better Business Bureau.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us a voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic. I want to thank you for your support for veterans in the military. Educating us. Standing up for conservatism. Giving us the truth.
Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Well, hey, everybody, back in studio. Here we are. My name is Drew Steele. Big D on the other side of the glass. You got Nina in the breaking newsroom, and you hanging out with us at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks to the Republican Study Committee for having us in Washington, D.C. It was a great, great day yesterday. We had a lot of fun. A lot of great legislators talking about the issues and getting things done. The Republican Party is all about it, and we just had a great time. So a big thank you for everybody listening as well. But now we've got a lot of a plethora, copious amounts of Florida news stories that I want to get to. How do you like that for a little bit of big words?
Love the word plethora.
You like plethora or copious? I like copious too.
I like them both.
Okay.
Plethora I like more.
All right, so we've got a plethora of news here from the state of Florida. So why don't we get to some of the stories? You know, many of you have heard about Democrat Representative Sheila Sherfilis McCormick. You remember hearing about how there was in November the grand jury in Miami in the indictment charging her and several co-defendants and the stealing of $5 million and all of that news that was out there. And people were like, oh boy, what's going to happen next? This is not good news. And Then you come to find out she resigned moments before the House Ethics Committee was set to consider recommending she be expelled. And she was like, nah, never mind, I'm leaving. So she's out. And so that brings up some very interesting questions. First of all, how the media presented it. The fake news, legacy, left-leaning media.
Fake news.
You betcha. I'm looking at some of the headlines from yesterday about this. We didn't get a chance to talk about it because actually, as we were leaving the air was when the story broke that she was resigning. But I'm looking at all the different headlines. CNN, Florida Democrat resigns from Congress minutes before House Ethics Panel was set to weigh her expulsion. Of course, the headline just talks about how Republicans were going to go after her. Republicans pounce. Sheriff McCormick resigns amid ethics investigation. Okay, Politico. But there have been a lot of people that have had ethics investigations. So what you see what I'm saying? In other words, it's soft. It's not hard on what exactly she did or what was going on. It's more like, there was a panel that was going to weigh whether or not she should be expelled. Oh, really? Are they thinking about that? Those Republicans, they're dastardly. Well, anyway, she's out. So what happens next? There are some interesting things that were floated about yesterday. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm just telling you. D, is it okay if I just tell you what I'm hearing? And it's not me. I'm not saying it. I'm just telling you what people are telling me, like the whispers in my ear. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, fine. People are like, you realize a perfect person to run for Congress is Paul Renner. Wait, what? He's running for governor. So, yeah, now there's that. The governor's not endorsing Paul Renner, doesn't want to endorse Paul Renner, isn't really saying anything about Jay Collins, is kind of hedging. I don't know, but certainly was not a person who is a fan of his, I guess, because when, do you remember when he was asked about Paul Renner? Wasn't he asked recently about...
Your reaction to that, and will you make an endorsement at all in the governor's race?
The race for what?
Governor.
Governor of what?
Florida.
Look, I'm not supporting Paul Renner. I think it was an ill-advised decision to enter the race.
Right, remember that? So, okay, an ill-advised decision to enter the race. Well, how about if he runs for Congress? What if he ran to fill the seat that was held by Representative Sheriff McCormick? That's what people are saying. I don't know. I don't think so. So that was just something that people were like, the whispering in the ear. I was like, really? Don't whisper in my ear. It's creepy. So there was that. There was also the DeSantis news that came out the other day as well. Remember, we played the video that many people had of the President of the United States visiting at Doral with Governor DeSantis and First Lady Casey DeSantis. Remember, we played the video, D, the other day of the president walking in, and there they were sitting at the table at Doral. Remember that whole thing? It was just a couple of days ago. Well, now we had that story from Axios that said that they got together, and it was really about DeSantis's future. And Axios is saying, and take it for what it's worth, that he's got some ideas on some jobs that he would like to do. One of them, his dream job would be a U.S. Supreme Court justice, and that he's very close with Clarence Thomas. This is what's been discussed on Axios. I don't know if it actually was being discussed. How about Ron DeSantis on the Supreme Court? Now, obviously, there would need to be a vacancy. Not yet. But do you have a thought on that? Ron DeSantis, Supreme Court Justice.
Why not?
Why not? Okay. He supposedly, according to Axios, is 100% not interested in the AG job. But he would be interested in two things: War Secretary or Supreme Court, which would be his dream job, said another source familiar with, heard it from a friend, heard it from a friend, heard it from a friend, you've been messing around, that whole thing. Again, these are the things that people are talking about. I don't know. I'm just presenting it to you as stuff that people talk about. So you've got Paul Renner, former Florida Speaker of the House and running for governor in the state, who was suggested that, hey, be a great congressman running for a seat that is now vacant because of the resignation of Democrat Sherfilis McCormick. And then you have Ron DeSantis, who soon will be out of a job and maybe is looking for a new gig. And the Supreme Court justice is a sweet gig. So just the kind of talk that is out there. I got a lot more I want to talk about here in the state of Florida, so bear with me. 866-588-8303. Look, if you want to call, we are live Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Maybe you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're like, this is nuts. Or you're like, wow, that would be awesome. I don't know if you have a thought on it and you want to call. That's fine. 866-588-8303. Or you can text as well. The CFO of the great state of Florida is Blazing Golia. He put this up on his X account. This is interesting. As past chairman of the Florida GOP, I don't know if you knew that, I can tell you this is excusable. What? What's inexcusable? Well, let's see. So this is what appears to be, as we have it on the screen, it is a flyer. Is that the right way to put it, D? That's a flyer? I don't know if that's a flyer.
Yeah, sure.
I guess it is a flyer. Yeah. The School Board of Broward County celebrates the Broward Democratic Party's Obama-Roosevelt Legacy Dinner? But what? Hold on. The School Board of Broward County, all of them, celebrate the Broward Democratic Party's Obama-Roosevelt Legacy Dinner. And the CFO of the state is like, whoa, hold on a second. His first question was, who made the ads? This costs money. You took a position politically as school board member? Hey, wait a minute. I thought school boards were supposed to be nonpartisan. We're nonpartisan. You can't ask. Hey, are you a Democrat? You're not allowed to ask. It's a nonpartisan race. No, I need to know. You're not allowed to ask. This is what they do all the time in these nonpartisan races. This is how the left fools you into believing there's something that they're not. You're not allowed to ask. No, I really need to know. There's usually a cost associated with the ad. So did the district use taxpayer dollars? How much? Look, if the CFO of the state of Florida, Blazing Golia, wants to know how much you spent on something, you better be careful because he might find out. It's kind of his gig lately, wouldn't you say? Okay, thank you. That's kind of, I don't know. Who authorized the use of an official district logo for a political fundraiser? So there's a political fundraiser, and by the way, there it is, Broward County, and there are the school board members, and right there at the bottom, Broward County Public Schools. Like, hey, are you allowed to do that? So he's asking that question. Who at the district level coordinated with a political party to approve the ad copy? Did district employees attend and pay for the event? He's got questions. I have questions. We all have questions. Now, it's Broward. When it comes to schools in Broward County, don't get me started. See the Promise program. Look it up. The great commissioner of education here in the state of Florida is Anastasios Kamoutsas, and he's got something to say about it. I think he put out can we read this letter? Can I see that? Is it too small to read? It's there. I'll read it, but it's really tiny if you're watching at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble X, Facebook, and Instagram, but it's there. The Superintendent Hepburn and the District School Board of Broward. It's come to my attention that a flyer went out for a political event that predominantly displayed the official Broward County Public Schools logo and saying what I just described. Public school systems do not exist to promote, align with, or lend credibility to partisan political organizations. Yeah, but Democrats, They get to do that kind of stuff, see? Because they throw it in your face and they do it, and then they're like, what you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? He said he's calling for the immediate discipline of all employees responsible for creating, approving, distributing the flyer. He expects every member of the Broward County School Board to publicly and unequivocally denounce the use of the district's logo in connection with any partisan political event and to reaffirm a commitment to politically neutrality, in the operation of the school system. Now, again, I go back to the fact that they're Democrats. And, so are they all Democrats? I mean, it's what Democrats do. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't ask if they're Democrats. It's a nonpartisan thing, isn't it? Isn't it? Because it's the school board, dude. There's no partisanship until you find out that they literally, with Broward's logo on it, made flyers to celebrate the Broward Democratic Party's Obama-Roosevelt legacy dinner. Yeah, that's not a good thing. And then one other thing coming out of the state of Florida before we move on, and this is for people that can watch at FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and Instagram. And here it is. Matt Devitt put this up on his X account. That's all the positions there where we have wildfires in the state of Florida and the smoke forecast because of it. And you see the smoke and you see the fires all there. The northern portion of the state, there are a ton in Clay County. There are a ton in the areas of the Panhandle, Tallahassee, Gainesville. You see that there. And so there's going to be a lot of smoke out there as well. So just want to remind everybody about the wildfires, as he was talking about. 130 wildfires now in the state in progress or contained. 20,000 acres have been burned. And he's got a map there with all the locations so you can see what has been going on here in the state. All right, what else has been going on around the country? How about this? Some of the back and forth with RFK Jr. I want to get to right now because he was stellar today on Capitol Hill. You know, the left is going to try to get their viral video moments, and they really wanted to do it. Let's see. I'm trying to think of my favorites. I got one here. So this is Senator Wyden. This is Senator Wyden, who is questioning RFK Jr. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm not ready yet. Who's questioning RFK Jr. about something. And he just wants to remind the senator about his background with pharma. Because he asked,
will you commit to releasing your written agreements with the pharmaceutical companies tomorrow?
He wants the written agreements with the pharmaceutical companies tomorrow. And so RFK Jr. wanted to remind the senator, I can't do that. And let me explain why.
No, I will not. And I can explain why.
Yes, that's what I just said.
Those agreements contain proprietary information and trade secrets. When you pass the Inflation Reduction Act and ordered me to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies, you put in a provision that required NDAs because nobody's going to come to the table with me if I start releasing proprietary information.
Wow. Well, that's throwing it right back at you. So the Inflation Reduction Act, which was really a
bowl of doggy doo,
you better believe it, had a stipulation in there that HHS Secretary Kennedy's like, I could sit with them, and you want me to negotiate with Big Pharma, but you also put in their NDAs. So we have to make sure that none of the proprietary issues regarding these companies can't be exposed. So I can't give you what you're looking for. And you know that.
You seem to be saying we were paying the highest prices for drugs in the world. You seem to be arguing that now we're paying the lowest. We've dropped IVF by 83%. We've dropped GLPs by 89%. Insulin, COPD drugs, asthma drugs that the American people, now they're paying the lowest cost in the world rather than the highest. And you want to go back on that? You can do this better than us. We did it because you wouldn't act.
I'm just waiting for Senator Wyden to say something. I'm just wondering what he's going to come back with. Let's find out together. I don't know.
You have a lot more power to negotiate than we do. Why don't you just go do it? Well, you've been promising to do it for 20 years, and you've never done it.
Mr. Secretary, we are going to do it. But when you try to hide the information on consequential issues, as you're doing on these Trump RX things, it makes it harder for us to make marketplace forces. You're in bed with Big Pharma.
Sorry. He just told you why he can't. They just want that. They just want the soundbite. Because right after that...
Telling me you don't have secret agreements here and secret meetings here in Congress all the time, every day?
That's enough of that. There you go. So you've got Democrat Senator Wyden who wanted his viral moment. You're in bed with Big Pharma. It's like, wait a second. How am I going to release written agreements with the pharmaceutical companies when you passed in the Inflation Reduction Act the fact that I can't? So, but you knew that, didn't you? Yes, they knew that. What else did they know? Here's Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas. That's not very nice. That's not kind. Dee, does that bother you when people call Senator Elizabeth Warren? Okay. So Pocahontas was trying to argue with the HHS Secretary today, Kennedy. And let's see where this argument was going and what was happening. I don't know what it was about. It must be about prescription drugs and the cost of prescription drugs. I think it's about Trump RX. Listen, if you don't like Trump RX, then don't use it. I mean, if you've got TDS so bad and it's got Trump's name in it, and there are lower prescription costs there, and you didn't do it, so Trump did it along with the HHS, and you don't like it, then don't enjoy in the savings.
Which, when you pass the IRA,
I will hold you to that, Mr. Secretary, because if these deals with Big Pharma are so great for Americans, then we should be able to see what promises have been made.
Okay, again, you go back to Senator Wyden, and you made it so that we can't talk about any of it in the Inflation Reduction Act, and she knows it too.
You have the power to make this deal yourself. Why don't you do that? Why did you? We did this because you refused to do
I think what we've got is Trump University.
You have a lot more power to negotiate than we do.
Stakes.
So, do you hear what she's... Dee, could you tell what Elizabeth Warren was saying right there while RFK Jr. was trying to argue with her about this issue? Did you hear what she was talking? She said, so now you have Trump RX, you've got Trump steaks, you've got Trump water. Okay. And what's your point? Yeah, what's your point? Well, let's see if she makes a point, because she say, okay.
We got the lowest prices in history.
By healthcare costs, and you and Donald Trump are actually making the problem worse.
Okay. So there's the viral moment. You're making the problem worse. How? Prescription drug, Trump RX. If you don't want to enjoy the savings, then don't do it because you're a crazy leftist and you got TDS on steroids. But see, that's what they do. They get out their talking point. Everything's all written out. They've got their mic drop moment, even though they're being schooled by somebody, and they still have to put it out. Let's see if there's any more.
The American public.
I can't stand it. No, I can't do it. I've had enough of her. That's all. I don't want to do it. That's all you need to know. They're looking for that viral moment, and so everybody's bought by Big Pharma, not you. And of course, when you're bringing prices down, you can't tell us how you did it. Well, why didn't you do it before? You couldn't do it, or you didn't want to do it. But that's the question. Why didn't you do it before? See, some people would say you're bought and paid by Big Pharma if you're not doing something to negotiate. And that's why you didn't want to do it, because they're making tons of money and you don't want to stop that. I mean, that would be the argument. I don't know if that was going on. But... And one other thing, I don't love this clip, so I wish I could find another one. But maybe I'll move on off of this. Yeah, I'm kind of done with that. Let's move on to something else. Hold on. Let's talk about this. Just a little while ago, about an hour ago, you had Speaker Mike Johnson, who was being asked about the redistricting, the map in Virginia. It's the map, and whether or not it's going to affect the 26th election. Now we come to find out that a circuit judge is putting a hold on that. It's going to push it right up to the Virginia Supreme Court. And no matter what decision is made there, it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court. It's going to be held up in the courts, hopefully not for too long, because decisions have to be made about this. But here you have Speaker Mike Johnson, who is being asked about these results, and he sounds pretty confident about what's going to go down in 26.
I'm absolutely convinced the Republican Party is going to keep and grow this majority in November. Last night was a good sign. Many of you thought that Republicans would not turn out for that ballot initiative vote, and they did.
So I don't know if you could hear that. Dee, could you hear that very well? Because I know there was a lot of echo.
Not great, but I made it out.
Okay, you did. All right. So he's convinced that the GOP is going to keep and grow the majority, and it was a good sign last night. Many of you thought Republicans would not turn out, but they did in big numbers. Now, some of you are like, wait a second. What is he talking about? I'm going to get to that coming up after the break. So before we finish out the program, I will give you the answer as to why Speaker Mike Johnson looks at this as a win last night as opposed to a loss. I know you're like, wait, it's gone from 6-5 to 10-1 Democrat, and we didn't lose? We'll see.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
After my injury, I lost my sense of purpose.
I lost the ability to tuck my daughters into bed.
Homes for Our Troops build specially adapted homes with features that allow our veterans to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free thanks to our donors and supporters.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a home where I can be a dad.
Homes for Our Troops gave me a brighter future.
We need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Learn more at hfotusa.org.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Since the dawn of time, man and wildlife have shared a connection. And hunting traditions passed down from generation to generation have connected man to the natural world. From bow and arrow to hook and bullet, as man evolved, our link to those traditions remains. Yet today, our basic instinct to provide, and as part of the hunt to conserve and appreciate the natural world has fallen under attack for the first time in human history. Misguided politicians and radical activists pushing an agenda to end hunting as we know it are leading a war against our heritage. In their misguided policies and protests, they demonize hunters and belittle our way of life. The result? Hunters leaving the sport in droves while our wildlife and ecosystems suffer the consequences as conservation funding dries up. Named after the father of the North American model for wildlife conservation, the International Order of T. Roosevelt is fighting in the arena to protect and expand the rights of hunters everywhere. We will fight back against these forces to make sure that every American has a right to hunt, enshrined in their state constitutions. We will educate the next generation in our traditions and seek to expand accessibility so that everyone can enjoy our pastimes. And we will continue to hold true to our namesake's efforts to protect, preserve, and ensure open access to our nation's wildlands. Teddy Roosevelt's vision for American conservation defines our modern hunting and conservation system. A system upheld by the idea that conservation efforts are crucial to our hunting way of life, and that hunters are crucial to successful conservation.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Look, are you still playing defense with your money? It's time to shift gears and seize the fresh opportunities this new pro-business environment has to offer. That's exactly what certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend and the team at Advantage Retirement Group do for high net worth investors like you, helping you go on the offense with advanced tax strategies, thoughtful risk management, and forward-thinking financial planning. Imagine enjoying the retirement lifestyle you've worked so hard to achieve, all while staying one step ahead, and in a changing world, you've got to do it. Alfie and his team design personalized strategies to strengthen your financial foundation so you can focus on living life on your terms. Ready to find out more? Text VISIT to 239-747-7470. Again, you can call or text 239-747-7470. Schedule your one-on-one consultation today and see how a proactive approach can help you thrive no matter what the market does next. Don't wait. Call or text VISIT to 239-747-7470 right now.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, anytime you want to watch it, FL Voice News on YouTube, Rumble X, Facebook, and Instagram, and anytime you want to check out the program after hours, Florida's Voice with Drew Steele, the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and also on the weekends, Right Line, your national voice streaming Saturday afternoons, 4 to 6 p.m. We are live with phone calls, breaking news. You're never going to be without the news and breaking news, even over the weekend. It's your national voice, national stories. You can watch at Right Line News on X and Facebook, and we're streaming on great radio stations across the country as well. All right, top 5 audio clips of the day. These are my top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Drew's top 5. Number 5.
Yesterday, it was reported that the Trump administration is in discussions to send more than 1,000 Afghans who are in the United States because they helped us during the Afghanistan war. They would be under the threat of death if they stayed in Afghanistan. We emergency evacuated them to the United States because they helped us, because they protected our troops. And the Trump administration said yesterday that they are going to take 1,000 of those Afghans, heroes, that helped protect our troops in Afghanistan, and they're going to send them to the Congo.
Huh. Hey, can we vet them? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. So that's Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat of Connecticut, who is very, very upset. I guess this was about a discussion on the government funding to end a partial DHS shutdown. And you have the senator who is melting down because the Trump administration is like, yep, 1,000 Afghans. We never vet them. Democrats brought them here. They probably don't have any intention to assimilate. They're here. We haven't been able to vet them. We don't know what's going on. But you're upset because we're sending them away. And I still have the questions about the vetting process. And well, you don't seem to care about that. He doesn't care about that. Democrats don't care about that. You should care about that.
Number 4.
You know, I just read that this war is estimated to have already cost us $50 billion. $50 billion, which is more money than this country has spent since World War II.
Hey, are we sure about that? I might need to check the numbers. I don't know. Maybe she's right, but I don't think so. So she's saying the war in Iran has cost $50 billion. Then she says it's more money than this country has spent since World War II. You know, I'm not a mathematician. I play with it at home, but it's a whole lot of fun, and I can't get into details. But anyway, the point is that I think the numbers are off. I'm just saying, I think your numbers are off.
Number 3.
Funding for Title X, which would eliminate screenings for cervical cancer and would almost certainly result in higher unintended pregnancies.
Can I respond to some of your earlier statements?
Please.
First of all, there are no cuts in Medicaid. I keep saying this. Here's what the CBO said. Fiscal year 2025, $668 billion. Fiscal year 2036, $981 billion.
Mr.
That's not
Secretary
a cut.
Kennedy,
It's a 47%
$1 trillion
increase.
in cuts, according to the CBO. 7 million people losing.
Okay, so it went on to losing healthcare, 7 million people, and then he is basically like, you realize they were illegally here in the country and they shouldn't have been. And then she just went and changed the subject. Let's talk about something else because they're looking for their viral moment. That's all they want is the viral moment, and that's what they tried to get with the HHS Secretary Kennedy today.
Number 2.
This guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. He wants to be Speaker of the House, and he's kind of like, more liberal than Pelosi and all this other stuff from New York City. I just want to know, Florida can't do, we're going to go after Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state.
Good for the governor. That should have been the number 1 audio clip of the day right there. The governor is like, Hakeem Jeffries is like, we're going after Florida. Let's go. Be my guest. I'll put you up in the house. I'll take you fishing. We'll have some fun. People would love to see you here in the state. No, they wouldn't. And you would be helping us out unbelievably so if you were to do that. He's not going to do that, but, it would be nice if he did that. Went around the state. We'd love to see you here. Come on down. Hang out with us.
Number 1.
Short answer is no. Certainly, Virginia, by constitutional amendment, has a new redistricting effort that was put in place and first utilized after in the 2021 redistricting. Certainly, I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
Wow. How interesting is that? I know it's an older clip, but Virginia governor nominees do not plan to redraw congressional maps if elected. And that's the current governor, Abigail Spanberger, who ended up winning. In a moment where you're like, you lied to every single solitary person in the state of Virginia. Some you got very, very upset because they wanted you to do it. Almost like, come on, we know you're going to do it, right? And then as soon as she got elected, she did it.
Drew's Top 5.
Yeah, because that's what Democrats do. They lie. They tell you they're a moderate, and then they're not a moderate. That was in August of 2025. Saying, no, I'm not going to redistrict, and then did it. And then now you've got a circuit court that is saying, no, you can't do this. And just a little while ago, now it's going to move to the Virginia Supreme Court, and we'll see where it goes from there. I don't know. We'll talk about some other things that are going on. Why don't we talk to Yoni Anijar, who's joining us right now on Florida's Voice, the first candidate in 16 years to qualify by petition for Florida House District 100. Is this right? Is this true? There he is. How are you, sir?
Good. You guys reported it, so it must be true.
Yeah, we did. Tell us more. Come on, let's talk about this.
Great seeing you again. Thank you for having me. So there's 2 ways. A lot of voters, our constituents don't know. There's 2 ways to qualify on the ballot. One is by writing a check, which is pretty easy to do. It's like $2,000, $3,000. The second one is a little bit more difficult. You have to collect. In our district, we have one of the highest requirements in the entire state. It's 1,251 verified constituent voter ballot petitions. So you can imagine, especially in a blue county like Broward, they always make it a little bit more difficult for Republicans to qualify. So it's usually twice that amount in order to get actually verified petitions. So took us a little over a year and a half, a year and change. We knocked on thousands and thousands of doors, a lot of them mostly Republican voters, but we had a lot of Democrats and NPAs as well. And I'm super proud of our team, myself, family and friends who helped. It was really a team effort, and I'm incredibly honored that so many of the constituents, my future constituents in District 100, believed in me and are willing to co-sign my candidacy.
That's awesome. And for those that don't know, District 100, this is areas of Deerfield, Lauderdale, and that area. Is that right?
Covers Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, up to Lighthouse Point, and a part of Deerfield Beach. And it's the only real Republican district in all of Broward County. We've talked about this before. And super important to retain this and make sure that it remains in Republican control. And, part of the reason why I wanted to do this and to qualify this way is to kind of prove to voters that, there's plenty of Republicans you can choose from. There's very few conservatives, and there's a difference. So you want to make sure that you're going to vote for someone who's going to fight and advocate for you on every front. And I think I'm the right person for that.
Let's not let that pass, because I love what you said. You may have some Republicans that run for office, but not all of them are conservative. That's my heart. That's what I care about. That's what I want to be number one. And especially at a time when we have Democrats in the state who want you to, and nationally, like we just talked about, who want you to believe that there's something that they're not. There are Democrats that want you to believe that they're moderates. There are Democrats in the state of Florida who want you to believe that they're Republicans. And then there's Republicans in the state who want you to believe that they're conservatives, and they're not. So this is very, very important. And I'm sure people have talked to you about that, among other things, about what they care about, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that came across, I'm really not overstating it, dozens and dozens of times. I would go and knock on someone's door. Immediately, I'm asking them to sign something. A stranger's knocking on their door on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I'm asking them to sign something, and they're immediately skeptical, given the fact that I'm also a lawyer. So their guard's up, that I'm having them sign a document. They don't know who I am. But once they get to know me, and once I explain to them who I am and what I'm about, the first question that I get is like, are you a Republican or are you a conservative? And you know what? And like you said, it's such a stark question, and it's unfortunate that we live in a world and we live in a politics that you have to ask that. But it's true. Not every Republican is a conservative, and so many of them are these like kind of mealy mouth, milquetoast kind of Republicans that are, go along to get along, rather than fighting for conservative values and knowing how to take it to the fight. And I've had so many conversations with people that have been let down by Republicans. Not necessarily ones that are serving right now. Everyone's very, very optimistic and supportive of Governor DeSantis and, President Trump, obviously. But in general, Republican elected officials on the state and local level, that they're weary, and you have to earn their vote and you have to earn their support. And that's part of the reason why I went through the effort of collecting 1,251 or 64 votes. I mean, every endorsement's important to me, and I'm fortunate to be the only person in this race that's been endorsed by future colleagues in the state house. But for me, the most important endorsement that I've gotten is from these 1,264 people that I had to sell myself to. I have to explain to them who I am, what I stand for, and then convince them to want to sign. And I think that's a testament to the candidacy and the campaign that we've been building over the last year and a half.
Yoni, that warms my heart. That makes me feel so good. I cannot tell you how excited I get when you tell me that people are asking you about conservatism and want to know that you are a conservative. That just means everything to me, that I know that that's happening.
I'll tell you one thing that I think will resonate with you. I was shocked by how many of those conversations. I get emails and phone calls from random people that maybe they didn't meet me. They met my fiance, Ruthie, who I have to give her a shout out, who's helped me out tremendously. They they meet our team and they're like, hey, listen, can I talk to you? And the first thing they say to me is like, first of all, I'm shocked that you answered the phone call, that you answered an email, that you answered and you're there. And they're very receptive to that. And I think people are just like, they're interested in a different type of politics. They want a more personal, they want someone who's accessible, someone who they can reach, someone who's relatable. And like I tell them, listen, I was born and raised, I'm a Broward kid. I'm Broward through and through. I went to public school in Broward. I went to college here at UF, started my career in New York and then moved back here. I'm all about this community. My family's been here for over 50 years. So once they hear that and they hear that on a personal level and you start getting into it and they tell you all of their disappointments, all the letdowns that they've had, and Republicans who maybe they've bought into and they supported and then have just like kind of disappointed them all the way through. And, I learned from that and I want to make sure that I don't make those mistakes. And once they hear what my values are and what my priorities are, and they get a sense of the type of person that I am, it's a really personal kind of relationship. You're asking them, I'm asking them to be their voice, and they have to trust that they're going to choose a rational and smart and competent voice to represent them in Tallahassee.
I love it. All right, my friend, listen, we got to jump, but before we go, if people want to find out more about you, support, where do they go?
Yeah, go to yonianajar.com. Follow me on Instagram at Anajar for Florida House, and or follow me on X at Yonianajar, YONIANIJAR.
Sounds great. All right, my friend.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you
Take
soon.
care.
All the best. All right. God bless. There is Yoni Anajar running for Florida House District 100, joining us here on Florida's Voice. And man, I love hearing that. That means so much to me that there are people who are taking him aside and going, look, I just want to make sure you're a conservative. I understand, because there are people that we see far too often now who are trying to convince us that there's somebody that they're not. And I'm sorry, no matter who you are, no matter which side of the aisle that you support, you got to vet. Now, I know Democrats won't vet anybody because it's like, do you hate Trump? I hate Trump. Okay, I'll vote for you. Like, that's not good enough. It might be good enough for you. It's not good enough for everybody else. But even on the Republican side, look, just need to know. Just need to know. All right. And we'll put a bow on the show next. Coming up, it's Florida's Voice.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
The first moment I walked into my home, I could hear my footsteps echo off the back wall. The first thing I thought in my head was, man, furniture is going to be real expensive. The VA not requiring any down payment prior to buying the home allowed me to take that money I had budgeted to go out and buy furniture, food, cleaning supplies, pretty much everything I needed. Purchasing a home is scary, but ultimately it's not impossible, and they make it so that anybody can do it.
To learn more, visit va.gov/home loans.
For 25 years, the Library of Congress Veterans History Project has collected and preserved the experiences of America's heroes. From original letters to oral histories, these first-hand accounts bring history to life, one voice at a time. With over 120,000 stories collected, each reveals the courage, sacrifice, and service of our veterans, but many remain untold. Help our nation reach 125,000. Share a story. Ensure a legacy. Visit loc.gov/vets today.
A lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
When I was 19 and I was going to shows, I was not thinking about permanent hearing loss. I wasn't thinking about tinnitus.
Sometimes my kids are having a conversation with me and that ringing starts in my ear. They're talking to me and I hear their voice, but I can't focus on what they're saying.
The audiologist, he told me that most of his clients are not old people.
They're kids that have their earphones in.
I have a lot of regret about not protecting my ears sooner.
Protect your ears at all times, no matter what. It's not something you can get back.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little fly. You sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step,
Bella, let's go.
guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Bella.
You don't just raise a puppy, you raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. Listen, I've lived in Southwest Florida long enough to know that when I needed countertops, you go to the best. Who's the best? Rock Solid on JNC Boulevard in Naples. First of all, Rock Solid's consultants, I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that they were knowledgeable, gave me all the information I needed to make the best decision. I love that fabrication is done on premises. It's not like they're subbing out the job to some third party, right? If you're looking for countertops, backsplash, you know where to go. Rock Solid, JNC Boulevard in Naples.
Now, back to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
All right, I want to make sure that I had enough time because I promised I would do this, and so I want to keep my promise. CD, I keep my promises. I promised everybody.
Most of the time.
Really? You're supposed to say, yep, you do. Or something confident. Well, never mind. So I play the audio that Dee says you can pretty much make out of the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, 100% convinced that Republicans are going to be just fine. So after the Virginia redistricting mess, and it's still going to be a mess because it's going to the courts, and he said,
I'm absolutely convinced the Republican Party is going to keep and grow this majority in November. Last night was a good sign. Many of you thought that Republicans would not turn out for that ballot initiative vote, and they did in big numbers.
So they turned out big in big numbers. By the way, if you're looking at the video right now, Dee, the person that's got their back to you right now with the cowboy hat, you know who that is? That's Congressman Greg Steube, Southwest Florida Congressman. I know because I recognize the hat. That's, anyway, just a little inside, well, not inside baseball, but I just knew it. So, convinced. Even after yesterday, even after Democrats won the special on the redistricting, well, here is political director James Blair, who was on CNN talking to CNN's Dana Bash about this issue and explains, I think, a little bit of exactly what Speaker Johnson was talking about.
What is your diagnosis for why you and Republicans failed to push back the Democrats' redistricting plan?
But that's not what happened. Listen.
Well, first, I would reframe that in Virginia. So this is a state in November of 2025 that went by 15 points to the Democrats for governor and about 8 points for attorney general. Last night, this was a 3-point race. That's actually a 3-point overperformance of the Trump 2024 historic performance in Virginia. So just as a baseline for all the Democrats crowing this morning, if Republicans perform anywhere near on average the way they did in Virginia last night, we not only add seats to the Senate, but we add seats to the House, and we have a historic midterm. It was very close last night. There's a backlash to the fact that they were not honest, and the same is going to be true in November. They don't have policies to run on. They don't have a vision to run on. We're going to make them litigate the question of their policies in November. And again, if it turns out the way it did last night, Democrats are not going to win the majority in either chamber.
Wow. You see that, D? Now you get it? So according to Trump's 2024 political director, James Blair, he's like, no. You got this all wrong. Republicans didn't fail to push back the Democrats' redistricting plan. They actually came out en masse. It was very close in the end. In November of 2025, 15 points to the Democrats for governor, 8 points for attorney general. But because many people knew what the Democrats were trying to do, they knew the game. They knew the language was off. They knew all of this was off. Like, you even told us, Abigail Spanberger, that you weren't going to do this, and then you did it. So we know your game. And it was close. It was a 3-point, it was actually a 3-point win over performance of the Trump 24 historic performance in Virginia. So Republicans came out en masse, and you're like, well, they still lost. Yeah, but his point was, as a baseline for Democrats, if Republicans perform anywhere near what they did yesterday, knowing that there's no policy, that you're trying to trick us and fool us, and we don't want Democrat policies again anywhere in the state or in the country, they may have us adding seats to the House, and it might be a historic midterm. So, I don't know. I like the way he thinks, if anything. All right. See you tomorrow.
You're listening to Florida's Voice with Drew Steele.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans.